Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Your membership to Gold, you will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Matt Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here, oh, look at Nussflush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Red Small make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Ken, Smoke and Mirrors, Director 97. Home. That is the way. Here comes Jason Meyer, the Eldorado custodian. Billy Friedrich. Jones one all coming down the advantage.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
Get 'em, Jimmy. Where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty. I'm not cracking. We stacking. Chips, all of this. What I want. Plus money winners. That's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated Pub Sports Radio. Time to get educated. Who can produce? Fade the juice letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call the truth. They get slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and Low Baggers in the chat. That's a little weapon 'cause we need. Oh yeah, pubbing. We be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Thursday, October 10th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. We have a huge show ahead of us. NHL, our first full NHL card. Bobano going to be rocking with us here for NHL, Thursday night football, and college football. We're going to cap the 3 games in college football this evening, and then 5 best bets from Bobano. South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, UAB, Army, Cincinnati, UCF, Northern Illinois, Bowling Green. Then we roll into the huge baseball games today. We'll have Jose Bouquett and Daby Cab joining us on those. And then we close up shop with our guy, Billy Brisbane, and the WNBA Finals. Lynx, Liberty, and Stacks play today, already in on Liberty -6. DK Metcalf over 69.5 yards for Stacks number 2. I'm excited. I'm excited about all of this. I did not bet NHL last night. And all I wanted was the Habs. The Habs, the Senators, they play the Leafs so tough, but I stayed off. I'm 0-2 to start the year because of those 2 bets on the Sabres in the Global Series. I've made 3 moves on tonight's NHL card and hope to. Well, I don't hope to. I'm trying to keep my action a little bit lighter to start the season. So we'll see how much more action comes out after breaking it down with a Bobano. A Bubberito in the house, the truth teller, ready to get to work. Smashed Rantanen on the live player prop, 3 or more goals plus 1,100. Beautiful. Ilya Katz, we got Viper in the house. Viper making moves here, going back with the Sabres. God, they looked horrific. We'll talk it out. I wish I could do it with you. I can't. I just can't back them after what I saw in the Global Series. And the Kings forwards should trounce the Sabres forwards. I know it's their Sabres defense that is part of the reason, and their goal. Good God, it was just such a horrific display. It's the first time in my entire life, and we'll talk about it in the Sabres game, but it's the first time in my entire life that I ever bet against myself after 1 goal. 1-0 Sabres, and I live bet the Devils in game 2. Never in my life. I've never done. It's the first time I ever have done that, and of course it cashed because Sabres just touch and go. Viper MB in the house. Frank, Virginia, the nuke worker. Steven Jackson ready to get to work. MI Lying says, "Let's go Mets." Tom Leach coming off a great day yesterday. I love to see it. Bo Jackson in the house. Rob Garvey ready to go. Goran Ninkowski, Wine Time Sports. Gerald Jones, Tigers, Cleveland, under 4. That's interesting that you paid for that one. I paid for the 7. I didn't pay for the first 5 under. I kept that cheaper, but I can understand the idea behind it. Get the push on the 4. Same thing with me getting the push on the 7. I'll copy and paste that, Gerald Jones, so we can discuss it as we break down Major League Baseball with these 2 giant games. Cannot wait for all of it, man. I can't wait for all of it. Philly Eagle Flyer in the house. There is the odds bunch ready to go. Series business. Kyle Hintley and 12K on Vegas. Ooh-wee. Rob Garvey says, "Is Bobano's action listed somewhere?" No, you will get it right here. A 9 legacy play day on the Ottawa Senators money line, Minnesota Lynx plus 6.5, and Yankees money line for 9 legacy. Talk sports with JT in the house. He'll be rocking with us, making his NFL pop-up debut this Sunday. I'm looking forward to watch you work, man. Respect. Let me get our guy 9 Legacies action here right now. Nicholas Handy, Mike Wilkerson ready to go. Great to see all of you guys. A Kong's Clip Smash Play of the Week, Themba Gorimbo and Tatsuro Taira parlay at -109. Let's make sure that is all copied and pasted. Andrew G says the Kings should body the already injured Sabres. The Sabres injuries look like they're going to be okay. Looks like both Benson and JJ Paterka are going to be back, but we'll discuss all of that. So Crystal Craig in the house. Grant Clarkson says a new sub here. Islanders game over. I'm on the Islanders with some hesitation, but this is historically, and things have changed in the new arena. But when they were playing in sleepy Brooklyn, now Brooklyn's not sleepy, it's just sleepy for these Islander games. But when they were playing in Brooklyn, these West Coast teams that flew across country were just losing. And I just feel like Utah coming in off such a high it'll be a tricky spot for them. But I don't have as much confidence in that. Thank you for joining us. Grant Clarkson, new sub on the over in the Islanders game. I will copy and paste that, Grant Clarkson, when I review everybody's action. Thank you for rocking with us, Grant. A bankroll, Spence's, was boots on the ground at the Royal Stadium. I'm still favoring the Yankees big time in this series. Need that Mets-Yankees World Series. Talk Sports JT, New York, Pittsburgh under 6 push. Toronto, Montreal under 6.5 was beauty. Absolute beauty. Absolute beauty. Slats says nice wins for my Habs last night, but they spent the last 2 periods defending and back-to-back tonight. Bruins 9-1 last 10 versus Habs, scored 4 more goals. Bruins team total over 3.5 minus 124. That's a great way of doing things. The Bruins team total over 3.5. I'm on the puck line, but maybe that was an easier way of doing it. Thank you, Robert Martin. Thank you. A $5 dono to bless our action to get us started. There's Robert Franklin, Irish King in the house. Great to see all of you guys. DC Capper, Saturday Bookie Buster, Georgia Tech -9. Oh, DC, I have bad news about your Bookie Buster that you were pushing me to bet. I did finally move on it. It took me too long. I did finally move it on Saturday, and I got to 10, and I pushed like a schmuck. I know you gave that to me at 9.5. Kelly McInnes' parlay today: Panthers, Kings, Bruins, Devils, all 1.5. Bruins in regulation was another way of doing it, Kyle, without doubt. Without doubt. So there was lots of, initially I was trying to not bet the puck line, but then I just kind of let go. Kelly McInnes, I'll copy and paste that right here. Have that locked and loaded. And then we will get to Lunch Break Chronicles. James Madison -9. That is locked and loaded here. All right. It is time to get rolling into the National Hockey League. Again, we have NHL off the hop, then Thursday night football. So we're going to go NHL. We have 9 games, Thursday night football, and then NCAA football. We'll start with the 3 games for Thursday night. Then we'll roll into best bets from Bobano. Then we will bid him adieu and welcome Daby Cab and Jose Bouquett for MLB baseball. Now, Daby Cab is going to join us for the first game in college football on the slate. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers at James Madison Dukes in Bridgeforth Stadium. He's got a spot on that, so he's going to join Bobano and I on that one. And then we roll into baseball with Jose and Dabra Cadabra, and we close with Billy Brisbane and the WNBA Game 1 Finals. Great to see all you guys. Mal making moves. Panthers, Devils, Blues, Red Wings, 49ers as well. So let's get to work. Bobano will be joining us here very shortly. Here, let's take this. Okay, could be okay. Okay, no worries. So it looks like Bobano is held up right now. So we will start NHL together right this second. Let's roll. We start 7 p.m. Eastern with the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins. We're in TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Caden Primo and Jeremy Swayman in between the pipes. I think that the phenomenal performance by Sammy Montembeault last night, setting the NHL record for saves in the season opening shutout with 48. I think that could play negatively in the head of Caden Primo. It just puts a ton of pressure. They're these 2 young goaltenders, and it's tricky when you come into the season and your colleague throws a 48 save shutout. It's not like I feel pitching is when your colleague, your buddy throws a beautiful start and it kind of rolls through. I don't feel like that is the same with young goaltenders, as there's so much mental health that goes into being a goaltender, as much as there is being a pitcher. I mean, there's no difference in that. I have been told now that our guy Sharpie is joining us for the Yankees breakdown, which is great news. So Sharpie will be joining us for the Yankees breakdown. And then we have Jeremy Swayman, who you could say is in the perfect situation, because in that 6-4 loss at Florida in their opener, Boston went with Jonas Korpisalo in net instead of the newly re-signed Jeremy Swayman, who got that 8-year, $66 million deal done on Sunday. And it was, 4-1 after the first period. It was 5-1 when the Panthers fans were chanting, "We want Swayman." So I do think that this is a great spot for Swayman to show his value. Usually I'm the opposite. Usually I think, oh man, you're coming in that first game with that huge contract. But the fact that Korpisalo looked so bad and the Bruins got lit up, I think plays well for Swayman. So we have the Habs on the second half of back-to-back. We have, the Habs coming off a 1-0 win against their rival, the Leafs, and the Bruins looking bad in that 6-4 loss. For the spot here, that's here. So let's just go into very quickly this Boston team. I think that they're going to have trouble scoring goals as we go through this season. I don't think they're going to be a high-scoring hockey team. Lindholm, Charlie Coyle, Trent Frederick, and Mark Kastelik as your four centermen is not a good group. Look, I love Charlie Coyle. And what he did last year, adding more offense to his game, I think he's phenomenal. Like such a great hockey player, kind of guy a Stanley Cup winning team would have a guy like Charlie Coyle as their third line centerman. Elias Lindholm, I've watched too much of. If you want him to be your first line centerman, enjoy. Good luck. I mean, I know that Zaka can move over to center, but Lindholm is just not good enough. He's just not good enough. In fact, I wouldn't even want him as a top 6 forward if I had a Stanley Cup type hockey team, caliber hockey team. Of course, you have Pasternak on the first line, Brad Marchand on the second line. Morgan Geekie needs to take a step up this year. And then Hampus Lindholm, Charlie McAvoy, spectacular defense pairing at the top. And then it's Zadorov, Big C added to this group. Look, the Bruins are a quality hockey team. I just truly, truly don't believe that Lindholm, Coyle, Frederick, 1, 2, 3 is good enough to do real damage in the National Hockey League. Let's go over the line history here. I did move on these Boston Bruins on the puck line, and I was a little late. It didn't cost me much as the puck line doesn't move nearly as fast as the money line. And I was a little surprised how big they were as favorites. I guess that's what last night when I saw it and I was thinking about it, I was like, that kind of caught me a little bit off guard. They opened up at minus 245. They've moved to minus 271. We have a huge move towards the Boston Bruins, and rightfully so. For these Montreal Canadiens here, and I see some big best bets coming in. I will copy and paste those. BJ, my man, thank you for sharing all that. Look, I really, really didn't like the move in the offseason to bring in Patrick Laine. This is such a great group of young forwards. There's so much quality here. Do you really need Laine? Now, I know we're not going to see him for 3 months because of the injury. And maybe after rehab, he bounces back and he's a different person. But there's always been one question with Laine, and that's his work ethic. And do you really want him around this great group of young forwards? I did get Slavkovsky in the hockey pool, 15-team hockey pool. Got him in the 8th round. Slavkovsky and Suzuki Caulfield is a real quality first line. I came so close to betting the over on points for the Montreal Canadiens. I didn't. I ended up not doing it. But I do think that the question marks around their defense are fair. Gooley and Matheson have to prove that they can be a number one defensive pair. But I think the Habs are going to give us a ton of value as we move forward. I really do. Copying and pasting all of this. And Clint in the house, diehard MMA, says hockey's back. Love to see it. What a start to the season. It's been a great, great start. And of course, Phoenix fans are going to be hurt seeing this Utah team rolling. And it's Barrett Hayton. Now, I picked Barrett Hayton in hockey pool last year, and he blew. It was horrible. But I got him in the 13th round of a 15-team pool, and he's a huge. They're just a really good young group of forwards. I mean, we saw it last night. Gunther's a monster. It's too bad that you had such a terrible owner that cost you a franchise. But it is what it is, and it's sad. It is sad. All right, I'm copying and pasting. Tom Leach says Bruins minus 265. Isn't that a bit nuts? Yeah. Yeah, but situationally, it's just so spectacular for the Boston Bruins. It's just perfect. I mean, it's the perfect storm. You have the Habs on the back-to-back after beating their hated rival. You have Primo and net thinking about how incredible Montembeault just was. You have the Bruins coming off a 6-4 loss to the Panthers with Korpisalo in net. So now the $66 million man Swayman rolls in. It's just the perfect storm. So there you go. Bruins minus 1.5, minus 103 for me. And also, I don't want totals. at this point in the year. I really try to have as few totals as possible. It's hard to really get a feel for these rosters, and you need to with totals here. So Kyle Hidley says take regulation. Yeah, I get it. I'm on the puck line. I would never take anything over, minus 135, minus 140 anyways. Let's roll into the second game here on the card, 7 p.m. Eastern with Los Angeles Kings at Buffalo Sabres. We're at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. It's just, appalling that the Kings want to go into the season with Darcy Kemper as their number one goaltender. It's appalling. I don't know what they could possibly be thinking. He was so bad last year. We predicted it. With the Capitals, 13, 14, and 3, 3.31 goals against average, 890 save percentage, 1 shutout. It's just, I'm shocked. But they've had very questionable decision-making with their rosters over the last few seasons. Luukkonen in net for the Sabres didn't get off to a great start to the season, but I think he's a quality netminder. And I think that Levi backing him up. I think they got 2 good goaltenders in Buffalo. Too bad their forward group is the way it is, and the decisions they've made around that are surprising to me. The Luukkonen 23-24 season, he went 27-22 and 4 with 2.57 goals against average, 910 save percentage, 5 shutouts. So I told you guys the first time in my entire life that my team that I bet on opened up a 1-0 lead and I hedged immediately was in game 2. They were outshot 38-17 by the Devils in game 2 of the Global Series. And I was just astonished how their forwards were being completely dominated by a good group in New Jersey. But I mean, completely dominated. And then, when you're thinking like, God, they could use, I've never said a good thing about Jeff Skinner, at least in the last 5 years. He was a figure skater as a youth. That's what he reminds me of when he's out there. But it felt like, good God, doesn't this Zach Benson, Dylan Cousins, Jack Quinn line need a veteran presence? Is Zucker and Greenway that veteran presence? No, they're too slow. Tuck, Thompson, and Peterka. So Peterka and Benson are both going to play, we expect, tonight. They both returned to practice Wednesday. Peterka suffered that concussion and that hit by Brendan Dillon. It was a great hit by Dillon. And he's back with Thompson and Tuck on the first line and first line power play. Peterka was great last year, 28 goals, 22 assists. Benson played through the lower body injury Friday, did not play Saturday, and he says that he is good to go. And he's, Cousins bothered me enormously last year. I had him in the hockey pool. He really let me down. Whether he steps up this year, I think that he probably should and could, but you give him Jack Quinn and Zach Benson, these youngsters at forward, it's not easy. It's really, really not easy. Robert Martin says Buffalo system play here. Look, this is the problem here, and I'll explain to you. Now you have Tage Thompson, who's 6'6". He's an important piece to that forward group, and Cousins is tall as well. But now you have Kopitar, Kempe, and Laferriere coming in on the first line. Kopitar, huge. You have Quentin Byfield, who I have, again, picked in the hockey ball. I picked him my last pick last year, picked him again this year. Quentin Byfield's going to be a monster. We don't need to sit here and say, well, look what he did in the preseason games. He was dominant. Those are preseason games. But here with Fiala and Foegele is such a great forward to add to Byfield and Fiala, because Fiala is all offense. So you want Foegele to be the accountable defensive forward, and Byfield is going to be a monster. I mean, the problem with the Kings, and it's the same thing with me every year, this forward group is great. I mean, look at that. Kopitar, Byfield, Deneau. I mean, that 1, 2, 3, and then you compare that to the Bruins 1, 2, 3, and the Bruins are a really good hockey team. I mean, that's just a great group 1, 2, 3. And then obviously the loss of Drew Doughty was huge. In Slatsy talking about the Doughty injury, so big. So Nate Dogg, all you missed was the Bruins game off the hop. So with the forward group for the Sabres, and look, I love their defense. I love them so much. And look, they've already cost me $600. That's how much I love that defensive group. And I picked Dahlin in the pool. Now we have to pick a defenseman first to 5 and second, 6 to 10 picks, 2 defensemen there. So I picked Dahlin. I need to watch this forward group not look like a bunch of children. They looked young, inexperienced. They got badly beaten. I mean, can you imagine losing the first game of a 2-game series on back-to-back nights and getting outshot 38-17? I would have lost it. if I was coaching that team, I mean, you want to see me lose my shit in the dressing room? I would have thrown the garbage can against the wall. I would have taken a stick out of somebody's hand, smashed it against the wall. I would have open hand slapped 4 or 5 players in the face, all the young players. I would have slapped them right in the face. I mean, just and knowing that I immediately bet the Devils up 1-0 would say, I mean, I was just astonished at their lack of heart, their lack of character, their lack of veteran leadership, their lack of anything. So I can't. And look, I don't want to back the Kings, and I know the Sabres are against the wall here and have to fight back. So when you put it all together, I can't bet on this game. And I apologize that I'm not talking a lot about totals, because you know that I love hammering totals throughout the year, and I will start going through the line movement in the totals. But it's just the Montreal-Boston game is at 6. I would have interest hitting the over, but I don't want the Bruins to win 3-0 or 3-1 and mess up my puck line. And that's another reason why I'm going to stay off that team total over 3.5 on the Bruins. For this one here, we have a 6. This opened up at 6.5. It didn't last there. Oh, actually, it lasted for 4 hours, but it moved to 6 at 4:18 p.m. yesterday. So I just don't want to get involved here in it. All right, let's roll on to the next spot on the board. Again, Bobano dealing with something. He will be joining us here shortly, and he'll tell us his action, but we'll have him, and don't worry about a thing. He'll be here for Thursday Night Football as well and college football. We move on to 7 p.m. Eastern, Florida Panthers at Ottawa Senators, Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, Ontario. This is a game that I want to talk out because I do have interest in backing the Panthers. And it's not a usual situation where I'd want the Panthers. They opened their season with that impressive 6-4 win in their home opener over the Bruins. You know, they dominate Boston, up 4-1, up 5-1 halfway through the game. And you could say, well, Korpisalo was a sieve and didn't give the Bruins any confidence. And that's a totally legitimate statement to make. But they did dominate here. The reason why I think there'll be accountability for the Florida Panthers is just because the Tkachuk brothers are going up against each other. And when Brady is also hurt right now. He's dealing with a shoulder injury. So is Stützle. Stützle and Tkachuk, they're both going to play. Both are expected to go, but they're dealing with an injury. When Matthew plays Brady, it's just the intensity you see it immediately. It's kind of like when the Stahl brothers played each other. I mean, if you remember, the one Stahl gave another Stahl a concussion. Knocked him out for the second half of the season one year. You get that feeling with the Tkachuk brothers. That's why they all make it to the NHL, is because they play on that edge, with that edge. Now I know the one Stahl brother didn't, the second round pick. Who was that Stahl that didn't make it? I can't remember his name, but my dude says really like Reinhardt this year on the Panthers to take his game to another level this year. I mean, that's wild that you would say that. I don't know how Sammy can take his game to another level. That's just wild. Last year he scored 57 goals. So what does he go for? 70 plus, 94 points last year. I mean, is there another level over that? I mean, that's wild to say, but I like it. Action Jackson says Brady is grittier, tougher. I can't. I love that you think that. Actually, it's arguable, but I can't vouch for that. Maybe being the younger brother gives him a little bit of an edge, but good God, I mean, who's questioning Matthew Tkachuk's fucking grittiness? I'm not. I don't even want to get to the Canucks drafting Olli Juolevi before Tkachuk, because I'll just, I can already feel, just talking about hockey, my anger kind of like building inside. But no one's ever questioned, is Matthew Tkachuk not? Look what he did in that rookie season. I mean, Jesus, I get it. Okay, let's go. Nate Dogg says, why can't we pick Wednesday for the Cappers contest? You can't, because the lines aren't out yet. They come out on Thursday. In these contests, you do want to give time for the injuries and for everything kind of bang out, so that you don't want to give a side on a Tuesday or a Wednesday when we don't fully know the injuries. I mean, that's why Circa does it. We kind of follow the Circa rules. Okay. Okay. No, I feel you, my dude. It's all good, man. All good. Okay. So it's Slatsy saying Ottawa thinking Travis Green as coach is the answer is hilarious. I agree with that, but I've talked about that already. I think it's horrific that they tried to do that. Now, Linus Ullmark comes to town. Ottawa Senators have been a goalie graveyard for years. Last year, 22, 10, and 7, 2.58 goals against average, 915 save percentage, and 2 shutouts with that great accountable hockey team in front of him. Now he has the Senators, who don't have nearly that defensive acumen. I'd be surprised if Ullmark has a save percentage above 907. I think all of his stats are going to go down. Sergei Bobrovsky, 23 and 24 season with 36, 17 and 4 with a 2.37 goals against average, 915 save percentage, 6 shutouts. I did spend some time with him on Hockey DB. I mean, there was a time in that first year with Florida where we didn't think he was going to be in the NHL for much longer. And then I was going through, I was like, wow, look at that year he just had. Is this his best year? And then you go back to the second year with Columbus when he was absolutely spectacular, which of course earned him the big contract. So, by the way, Thomas Nosek week to week for the Panthers, not that big of a deal. And Adam Boqvist is day to day. When we take a quick look, at this group of players, and we got to go over the line history, of course. Maybe that should be forefront because I am kind of interested in making a move. This total's at 6.5. It's juiced to the under at -116. I kind of trying so hard to stay away from totals, but I do kind of like that under. The problem is that the offensive skill players on both teams are so talented. But, the Panthers being up -132, they opened up at -129. This got up to -140 right away. The fact that it's coming back down does surprise me. You have Tkachuk and Stützle banged up. They're going to play. Tkachuk is a shoulder issue, right? You don't think his brother's not going to try to attack that shoulder? I mean, now Brady can't fight, and that's where he got it from. He got it from a fight. You have Giroux, still trying to turn back the clock on that first line. Norris, Batherson, and Ridley Gregg on the second line. Prawn, Pinto, and Amadio on the third line. Look, I like Pinto a lot, and there's a reason why Prawn's passed around the league. He just, if he's not scoring, he's not doing anything. But he can score. And you have Gaudette, fourth line center, on the line with Nick Cousins, Noah Gregor, Sanderson and Zub, Shabbat and Jensen, Hamonic and Clevin is not the kind of defense you really want to build around. There's a reason why Shabbat's not on that first defensive pairing. He just is not accountable defensively. So here we go. I find the Panthers appealing. I don't like buying in on a team coming off such a great game, but God, isn't this the right line for the Panthers? I wouldn't mind actually just seeing if all the money's on them, which I would imagine, because then, why would this line not continue to move? 88, look at that. That's 88% of tickets and 89% of the cash on the Panthers. And why don't we have our guy Bobano ready to rock. But I tell you, like, knowing one thing that happens in these openers is that it's really helpful for a team that hasn't played their first game. But when you have the home opener for, let's say, the Senators, and you have a team coming, the team on the road is playing sharp because they're in enemy territory. They seem to be more locked into that team playing the home opener. And when the Tkachuk brothers play each other, they play with intensity. And I'm on the other side of Nate Dogg here. He's money line leaning over. I'm Panthers and leaning under. And Peterka is going to be out for the Sabres, says Slatzy. Peterka is out for the Sabres. Benson game time decision. I thought they were both going to be in the lineup. Peterka must have had a bad morning after practicing on Wednesday. Let's bring on our NHL guest here. Now, we got to work quickly through NHL, and I've taken a little bit of time here through the first 3 games. We'll get his take first on Panthers Senators to get started. We'll review the first 2 games that we capped, and then we'll roll through the next games. And we got to keep a brisk pace. I haven't been brisk enough. Please welcome from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada's black and yellow, our friend Mr. Ian Cameron to the program. Bobano, how are you?
Better late than never. We're finally here. What's up, Jimmy?
It's great to see you, man. Let's get right after it. Panthers, Senators, Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, Ontario. Take it away. Your plan of attack. Ullmark making his debut here for the Ottawa Senators. Great to see him and Swayman both get the same contract. It's just that, if I look at Ullmark, 2.58 goals against average, 915 save percentage in front of the Bruins, how much worse is it in front of the Senators? I think a legitimate amount worse. Now you could also combat that with saying, well, now he knows he's the number 1 goaltender. Now he knows he's going to play, 55, 60 games this year, and that will benefit him. And that's a legit argument for him to step up But take it away, Bobano. Give us your Panthers Senators breakdown.
Yeah, nothing here for me. This is going to be a pass. This is going to be a watch and observe game for me. I'm not ready to step in front of Florida, to me. They look ready to go, sharp, no hangover against Boston. That was a tremendous game. They carried the play, expected goals, ozone time, puck possession. Really, they owned that game. They made Boston look pretty horrible in their own end for most of that game. They look like the Stanley Cup champions. And obviously the concern is now you're going on the road. That was opening night. You're putting the banner up. That was a rival. You've played in the playoffs 2 years in a row against the Boston Bruins. Are you going to bring that same focus and intensity here against Ottawa? So that would be what I'm leery about with Florida, but they've owned Ottawa. They're 9-1 the last 10 meetings. I know all this hype about Ottawa coming into the season, the same hype we've heard for the last few years. I still have to see it before I believe it with them. Wasn't very fond of the Travis Green hire. Thought they could have done better there. And Linus Ullmark on paper is a huge upgrade. There's no doubt as far as in between the pipes. But he's not playing behind the Bruins blue line anymore. It's Ottawa's blue line now. We'll see how he fares here. And look, the Ottawa blue line is a Shabbat or a Jake Sanderson injury away from devastation, because they just don't have the quality depth behind those two guys, in my opinion. So this is a pass for me. It's an observed game. Put it this way, I'd prefer Florida than Ottawa. I know what I'm going to get. I am concerned about the spot coming off the Boston win, but I need to see it before I believe it with the Sens. This is just a watch and observe game for me.
I get that completely. I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to pull the trigger. You guys know that I don't care about the cash flow in the market in NHL. Psychologically, Bobano, this is not a regular old game in February in Canada, Ontario. It's going to be completely sold out. It's going to be loud. They're going to hear the fans when they're in their dressing room 20 minutes before the game. And I think that will bring a level of accountability and focus from the Florida Panthers, which is what you need. I think the Tkachuk brothers playing each other will do the same thing. And then I'm also going to move on the under 6.5. And this could cost me. But I think that Ullmark will have the opportunity to show what he can do here. I just have such a vividness bias of these two teams playing high-scoring games, Bobano.
Yeah, when I see the possibility of all four side and total outcomes hitting in this game, I could see Florida, I could see Ottawa, I could see over, I could see under. It just tells me right away, just watch it, watch the game, see how it unfolds. We'll find out a little bit of something. We'll certainly find out something. I actually don't need to learn shit about Florida. I know what they are, and even if they lose tonight, they're fine.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what to expect from Ottawa. All I know is on paper, they've got a better goalie. On paper, they focused on better defensive play away from the puck in training camp. They've obviously got enough scoring up front. We know that. But let's see it play out first game of the season when it counts.
No, I feel you. I feel you. I'm gonna pull the trigger. I don't want to be too hesitant. I'm already hesitant early in the year. I already feel it.
Ottawa is going to play a style of game this year that they're going to try to play a style of game that translates to the under this year. Will they be capable of it?
That's what we've heard from Travis Green in his monotone bullshit. But look, I get it. I get it. But I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to pull the trigger. We can slow down if we feel it necessary, but I'm going to pull the trigger. Florida under 6.5, trigger pulling for me. Okay, very quickly, Bobano. I'm on the Bruins puck line -1.5, -103. We have cappers on the Bruins team total over 3.5. We have cappers on Bruins in regulation. Bruins Canadians. What's your plan?
So nothing official, but I've actually taken the Monster Plus price for a small bet with Montreal. Not an official play though. It's a tiny bet for me. I just thought I didn't bet it initially. Then I saw the morning swell to -280, no, -290 from an opener of -250 with Boston. And I get it, right? They got embarrassed in Florida. Defensively, they were atrocious. They hung Jonas Korpisalo out to dry. You'd expect their home opener to be a lot better here. Kind of ashamed of the way they played. We know there's a better game in them. But at the same point in time, Montreal, I was impressed. I was certainly impressed with Montembeault. He was absolutely outstanding. I was impressed with their power play. They scored their one goal on the power play. They moved it around very well. And I was impressed with their speed. That's what worries me about Boston. Boston looked slow. Boston was losing puck battles left and right against Florida. And if Montreal uses the speed to their advantage that created a lot of their chances against Toronto last night, they could cause some problems here. And to me, Boston was a team that I was kind of worried about coming into the year, a team that I was worried about, their speed, worried about their lack of depth offensively, even a little bit worried that their blue line may not nearly be as good and deep as it was a year ago. And we kind of saw that as well in the loss against Florida. And you factor that in that maybe we do see Jeremy Swayman make his debut. And it's one of those deals where I'm okay taking a small shot and a small flyer on Montreal at this price, even if it is Swayman. Swayman didn't have any training camp. He didn't get into any exhibition games whatsoever. He's barely been on the ice, really, for the last month while he's been negotiating his new contract. I don't know if he's going to be sharp. I'm not ready to trust him in this kind of a price range to be sharp right off the hop, even if he does get the start tonight for Boston. So I just thought it was just overpriced on Boston. It's the kind of reasoning I used for fade Vancouver last night. I just thought, yeah, Vancouver can beat Calgary. They were just a little overpriced in my opinion. And there's another game on this card later on. Yeah, they can win the game. They're just, to me, a little bit, and in that case, a little bit way overpriced. So that's just why I took a small shot. Not an official play, because I do think it's a great home run spot for Boston, but I'm not convinced that they deserve this price tag. So a small flyer for me, not an official play, but a small bet for me, Montreal at this price.
No, I get the whole breakdown. I think that the Caden Primo watching Sammy make 48 saves is actually the issue. Nothing else. I think Primo is the issue. It's not like when your buddy goes 8 innings and now it's your turn to go 8. It's like, oh my God.
Pressure's on you now. Exactly. Yeah. So go out and at least try to be halfway as good as that. Yeah.
Kings, Sabres, Bobano, take it away, KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
This is my first official play. I like Buffalo here. I think it's buy low time on the Sabres. The Kings are high up there on my fade list to begin the year, especially on the road. Do you know what the score is cumulatively of the last 2 meetings between the Kings and Sabres in Buffalo? 13-0 Buffalo. 13-0 Buffalo. In the last 2 times they've hosted the LA Kings. I know they're coming back from Europe, and we'll talk about that with New Jersey later, but you've got them at a discount. I know Peterka's out. Benson's a game-time decision. But this LA team, I don't like their defense. I don't trust anything that they have in net, whether it's Kemper or Big Siv Dave Riddick. I can't trust them further than I can throw them. They haven't played a meaningful game. Buffalo's at least played meaningful games. They didn't look good, but New Jersey's legit. New Jersey's going to be really good this year. I know that doesn't excuse Buffalo from looking like horse shit, but I think there's a step down in class for Buffalo. This is their home opener. And to me, said coming into the year, I'm fading LA at every reasonable opportunity. And I think we've got a reasonable opportunity here with the to fade the LA Kings right off the hop. It should be a focused Buffalo team, home opener, 2 losses that won't sit well with them. Yeah, and I think the price is reasonable. We're not even laying minus 120 or minus 130 here with this Buffalo Sabres team off those 2 performances against a team that I have major question marks in with the LA Kings. All we have to do is lay not even money, barely even money. Minus 105 is what I see at PointsBet right now with Buffalo. So we'll lock that in. Sabres minus 105.
Sabres minus 105 here. And Devils, Panthers, Buffalo.
Like, I've got a ticket on the Kings to miss the playoffs. That's how anti-Kings I am this season.
Yeah, I get it. The problem is that the division they play in is so weak. But then you could have the crossover that could fix all that. So I get it. I absolutely get it. This is another situation when I talk about all the time where the bias that we have from watching these games is heavily affecting a capper, and it's heavily affecting me here to be outshot 38-17, to expect Zucker and Greenway to give a veteran presence to this team. I'm appalled at the roster makeup of the Buffalo Sabres. When you've had all of these high draft picks, you have all of this opportunity to build a spectacular hockey team. And I for the first time ever in my life, I was like, these guys miss Jeff Skinner. Yeah. And the Kings forward group, I love. So I'm off that one. Bobano on the Sabres minus 105. I get it. Let's keep rolling here. We move on to 7 p.m. Eastern. Toronto Maple Leafs at New Jersey Devils, Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Last night in that game, all of Toronto radio was talking about how the best goaltender in the preseason was in net for the Leafs. And, he's everything that you want from a scouting goalie. And he was great last night. And then you move over to Hildeby tonight, who's, again, just like, the exact same, 6'7". And this is not a spot where I think there's pressure on Hildeby. Now, I know that he isn't being confirmed announced, but we expect Dennis Hildeby to be in net, don't we, Bobano?
Yeah, well, Anthony Stoley, the goalie, he faced a lot of rubber last night. My guess is we are going to see Dennis Hildeby. He's being projected in a lot of the different sites, Daily Faceoff, RotoWire. Craig Berube didn't commit after the game last night to him being the starter, but certainly I would think they're leaning in that direction.
Yes, I do think that Hildeby will be there. And Stolar's same thing. They got that big netminder. The talk in the preseason was Stolar's was clearly outplaying Woll. So, that's the only reason why I wanted to be on the Habs last night, and I wish I had pulled the trigger, but it was Stolar's that made me uncomfortable. I think Hildeby will be fine here. We have King U and Steve Fehrenbach and a lot of the cappers in the chat talking about the devastation and what's going on in Florida, North Carolina, and Wyoming with the natural disasters, sending out prayers. That's so important to mention. So a lot of prayers being put out from the chat to those involved down there. And so sorry that you have to go through this, especially, when you just went through it 2 weeks ago. We're going through it again. The devastation, it's awful. So thinking of you guys out there. So look, Markstrom last year was where I think he's at 34 years old. It depends when you're looking. I mean, Bobrovsky, Markstrom, these 34-year-old goalies. 34 is not a death knell for goaltenders. We've seen goaltenders have good seasons at 36, 37. Markstrom was 23-2 with a 2.78 goals against average, 905 save percentage, 2 shutouts last year. And, I'm not high on him at all. Pesce and Hughes each participated in practice Tuesday, but they're not close to coming back. Pesce, with that 6-year contract, the 2 defensemen for the Devils who aren't in the lineup, he got hurt in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference first round last year against the Islanders, and Hughes is still out, so they're still going to be out. They're not coming back, and that was part of the reason why I was on the Sabres. I love the Sabres defensive core. I question the Devils defensive core, and it was awful start for my hockey season. Let's talk about these two squads here quickly with Leafs Devils. I took the Leafs under 102.5 points. I didn't take their not to make the playoffs. I just, in the end, I think they'll probably be a wild card team that can sneak in. And Matthews, Marner, Nyes, Domi, Tavares, Nylander, Patches, Holmberg, and Robertson. If Patches can stay healthy, it isn't a bad third line. It's the defense, and we've talked about already. I don't need to keep hammering it, but Chris Tanev as a top line defenseman. I mean, he's not going to play 50 games this year. I mean, I can't understand. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, coming off a surprisingly good year as a top 4 defenseman. It's just you think you can go into a season with Tanev and OEL as top 4 defensemen. It's absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. Degenerate Gambler talking about the Devils coming back from Europe. Yeah, they've had enough time to be back, I believe. That's not the reason. I just, the Leafs put up 48 shots last night. It wasn't like they played horrible. They got good goaltending. They played fine. I just don't feel comfortable backing the Devils. I'm not high on the Devils, even though their forward group completely dominated the Sabres. I think this is a fine price for either. The Devils open up -140. They're now -132. To expect the Leafs to bounce back tonight is completely legitimate. Now you'll have to do it, with their 2022 4th-round pick, Dennis Hildeby in net, who I think is going to be a really good goaltender. If you look at his progression, whether it be in Europe or with the Marlies, I mean, he's quality. This total's at 6.5, juice to the over. I guess there'd be some interest in the over, I guess, if you think of the Leafs coming off 48 shots. Now, do you want it? Are the legs a little bit heavier in the second half of a back-to-back to start the year? Take it away for us here, Bobano, Leafs Devils.
I'm sure we will get confirmation who's going to be in net before the end of the show here, maybe even before the end of my segment here with Dennis Hildeby. But I expect it will be him. This is another pass for me. I actually think the Leafs are going to be a team. They showed it last night with Craig Berube demanding defensive accountability, structure, work ethic, competitiveness, compete away from the puck, back checking. Those were all the buzzwords from Berube in training camp. back checking and competitiveness and defense and structure and systematic hockey. Leafs are going to be, I think, not just an under team, maybe a big time under team this year, where they're going to play a lot of 3-1, 3-2, 2-1, 1-0 games, like, in the case of last night. And plus, this is now a continuing theme with them from the Boston series in the first round, where the Leafs offense not clicking, the power play not clicking, and yet defensively and the penalty kill's been solid. So I'm actually leaning under tonight. New Jersey went under in the first 2 games against Buffalo. We talked about how they're a better defensive core. They don't even have Brett Pesce yet, who I think is the best piece they added to make this a better, tougher, sound defensive team to try to keep the goals against lower going into this game. There's no question. But I think when you look at this game here, it could be a sneaky under. Let's not also forget Jacob Markstrom, who is confirmed as starting tonight for the Devils. He was awesome that first game against Buffalo on the Friday. He was terrific. He looked like he was in midseason form. He looks like he might be ready to have a big season again, reinvigorated, playing for a team that has aspirations of, winning the Stanley Cup, being a contender. But it wouldn't shock me if not only Hildeby, if he starts, plays well, because I think he played well in preseason. He made an incredible save in the Ottawa game in preseason. He played very well. He's been terrific down in the American League. And the team will rally defensively around Hildeby, and try to give him his first win in his first ever NHL regular season start if he indeed gets this game. So I'm not making anything official. I think the side's tricky. New Jersey coming back from the Europe, although Buffalo and New Jersey, I think, can handle it because they've been back a while. But sometimes I like the idea of backing the team that played a game the night before, sometimes versus a team that either hasn't played yet this season or they've been off for a while, like New Jersey. So I think it's a tricky side. Not betting it, not betting the total either, but I do lean under in this game.
Yeah, I'm off. I'm off of the spot here. I'm anxious.
Great game to watch, though. Fascinating.
Yeah, I'm anxious to watch the Leafs again and watch the Devils go, and interested to see Hildeby. For me, Jacob Markstrom's mid-season form is a 900 save percentage. I've watched him for too long. He was a goalie for my Nucks.
To me, there's value on Toronto here. I thought I came into the season with New Jersey. Everything was overpriced. Their futures was overpriced. To win the conference was overpriced. I even thought they were a little overpriced in the games against Buffalo over in Czechia. And credit to them, they went 2-0. So maybe they're worthy of this price tag, but I'm going to have to wait and see still for at least another game or two.
I have some interest in the Leafs bouncing back. I faded the Devil. That first line for the New Jersey Devils was spectacular. Now you could say it was because of how weak the Buffalo Sabres looked, but there is potential that this could be the highest scoring line in the National Hockey League this year, because we sort of forget Timo Meier. He did not look good. He's been battling injuries, but Hughes, Bratt, and Meier looked absolutely spectacular against Buffalo. And with the pressure that the Leafs are under, getting off to a bad start, which is something that I said would happen, I don't want to bet against that happening. I really, and it's no fault on Berube. I really like Craig Berube. But all right, let's roll on. No action from us in Leafs Devils. Next up, Utah Hockey Club in New York Islanders, UBS Arena, Elmont, New York. We have Connor Ingram. Now that Connor is the man, I question how successful he's going to be. You lose the edge. Now, he's wanted this his whole life. It's been a pretty non-traditional way of becoming a number one goaltender in the NHL. Going up against Semyon Varlamov, we saw at the end of last year that Waugh had chosen Varlamov over Sorokin.
That's his guy going back to when he coached in Colorado all those years ago. Yeah.
And Sorokin had back surgery during offseason workouts, but he's completely healthy, and he's starting the year as a backup. Last year, just 3.01 goals against average and 909 save percentage. But, these aren't the Islanders that we remember. These are this is an Islanders squad that's more offensive, less defensive. And look, I think Utah, I should have taken overs in Utah. With their points and maybe to make the playoffs, things of that nature. I'm okay with not doing it. I'm also okay with fading them here. Now, I could see them roll. They're pumped up. They're so excited to be out of Phoenix. They're so excited to, to have a fan base that's completely supporting them. And I could see them roll. Gunther and Clayton Keller on that line. looked very, very good. I told you guys, I'm second year in a row I drafted Barrett Hayton in the hockey pool. I think he's going to have a huge huge might be a little much, but I think he's going to have a very good season. This is a great young hockey team. Maybe great's a little much. This is a really good young hockey team. I truly believe that. Shout out to our guy Fat Wally gifting a Pub Sports Radio membership. What a guy you are, Wally, my man. And Pipe Layer getting the gift. I love to see it. In saying all that, you have this massive opening night, hugely successful, and then you fly across the country and face the New York Islanders. And I am on the New York Islanders on the -1 line. And I you talk about what is the root of you losing a bet, and I always go through that, like how it, and the root is pretty simple. Utah's feeling good about themselves. It is tricky to fly across the country, but they're full of hope and energy and life. This line is not moved. Opened up the Islanders -150, now -147. I think that actually, in all honesty, it not moving is a sign that the Islanders are alive here, because everyone just saw how good Utah looked, albeit against the poor Chicago Blackhawk team. This total is a 6. It's -112 to the under. It opened -114 to the under. We haven't had much movement, and I am kind of curious to see if the tickets are all over Islanders, and they are 83% of the tickets, 87% of cash. So I'm on the Islanders -1 here. I got +110. I got -147 on the money line, and I got 172 on the puck line. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Utah Islanders.
I think there's going to be money to be made with Utah. I just don't know if it's in this spot. I was on Utah. I was all over Utah Tuesday night. I mean, we had the first period puck line, the team total, the first period team total. It was just, you felt it, that they were going to feed off that first game in Utah ever in the NHL from the Delta Center. And they came out strong. They had to hang on, though. They did not play great the last 2 periods. Chicago really started to carry the play, but they hung on. I understand totally why there's people interested in the Islanders. It's a tricky spot, right? All the pomp and circumstance and the hype and the excitement of that first game in Utah. Now you got to take the cross-country flight over, to Long Island here and take on the Islanders. It's not easy, obviously. And the Islanders, their home opener, they'll be ready to go. I can understand the Islanders. I don't love the price, to be honest, on the Islanders, but I understand the reasoning people would want to take the Islanders in this spot. I like the total. I like over in this game. Over 5.5, -122 at Botano, an official play here for me with this. I think the Utah Hockey Club is going to be an over team. I have no questions about them offensively. They are going to be able to score with Clayton Keller, Barrett Hayton, Nick Schmaltz, Dylan Gunther. How good is he already? Logan Cooley, Josh Doan. They're loaded up front. They should have no problem scoring goals. And now actually Sergachev should actually help them on the power play as well from the blue line. And I think offensively here against the Islanders and Semyon Varlamov, look, I know Patrick Waugh likes him. He was pretty solid last year. We'll have to see it again because he's also had some recent seasons where he's kind of been inconsistent up and down. Of course, he's the guy with Sorokin out. So it's Varlamov here tonight. I think Utah can score. And I think the Islanders can. I think one thing to watch for with the Islanders is on paper, they're putting on the ice a better offensive roster and a better offensive team. Obviously, we know Bo Horvat, Kyle Palmieri, Matt Barzal, Brock Nelson, the usual suspects, but they signed Anthony Duclair in the offseason, who had a great season, career best numbers in the regular season, split with San Jose and Tampa Bay last year. I think he's going to have a good offensive season. He's going to boost the Islanders' ability to score goals. And keep an eye for this young Russian kid. They really like him. He was pretty good in preseason. Maxim Siplikov, he's going to get a lot of opportunity as well for the Islanders. Got a good release, a good shot. This actually could be a better offensive team this year. And to me, I think there could be some value if this comes to fruition, that they are a better offensive team. There's going to be some value this year with some overs, with totals in Islanders games. So put the two together, and that's what I'm looking at here, over 5.5 with Utah and the New York Islanders.
The one thing about these Islander squads and is they've kept the consistency of the roster.
Yeah.
And they've done such a good job at that. I mean, the second line of Pulock and Pelech, I mean, these guys know exactly where they're going to be at all times. And I love the Duclair pickup. This has got Lou Lamoriello's fingerprints all over it, but also a Lou Lamoriello that's changing with the game. I don't feel like he's stuck. There's certain things that he had to do. The Duclair, Horvat, Barzal, Duclair's perfect for them. And you like you're saying Siplikov with Nelson and Palmieri. But then you go to this third line, Anders Lee, Pajot, and Holmstrom. That's a really quality third line. Fourth line,
They're waiting on Holmstrom. They think Holmstrom can pop offensively. It hasn't happened yet consistently, but they like him. Wallstrom is disappointed. That's why he's down on the fourth line. But, he's still a guy. And Kyle McLean. Here's a guy that stepped up and scored some goals for them last year. Now, I know his dad is an assistant coach behind the bench, and maybe you got to show up every night because dad's behind the bench. He'll give you all kinds of grief if you don't. But Kyle McLean's another guy that stepped up on the fourth line and scored a few big goals for the Islanders. So I agree with you. There's more offensive depth on paper, at least, with this Islanders team on all four lines.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I've got the Islanders. I'm gonna take the Islanders to make the playoffs at -110. I'm going to bet that. Yeah, I'm going to put that in. It's not too late for that.
Look, they did play better under Roy. We know that they played their way into the playoffs. They were great down the stretch to get into the playoffs. They responded well to Patrick Roy, and the full training camp that he has should help. So I think they're one of many teams in the East that's going to be fighting like hell down the stretch to get in. And it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet that. The Utah to make the playoffs +125. That's going to require a lot more study, which I will do. I'm not going to say that I'm going to bet that right now, but I don't know if that's enough. I just do think that the conference, the Western Conference, isn't that strong this year. I mean, it is at the top, but there's a lot of room for a team to get into the playoffs. All right, let's roll on. We got to speed this up, Bobano. So next up for us, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins, Detroit Red Wings, Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. Obviously Pittsburgh coming off an awful night, 6-0 loss in their home opener, which I love. I don't know why. I guess it's the way Rutherford couldn't move these dinosaurs in Letang and Malkin, and now, I mean, they're just so screwed. And when I was watching them lose 6-0, I was like, why am I not on their under points this year like I was last year? I mean, Yari stopped 35 of 41 shots. I mean, the power play. They bring in Carlson last year. They have the worst power play in NHL. Makes no sense. They go 0 for 3 again, and they give up a shorthanded goal to Kreider. I mean, it's just, horrible. Now, look, Crosby everybody loves him. I get it. Nedeljkovic is out week to week. So Blomqvist is going to come in, we expect today. 22-year-old prospect here. And he could be good. 6'2", second-round pick out of Finland. Last year in Wilkes-Barre, 25, 12, and 6 with a 2.16 goals against average, 921 save percentage, one shot. That's really impressive. And what an opportunity for him to come in. Like, I don't feel like there's a ton of pressure on him. He just watched Yari look horrific. Now bring in the kid. Like, I think it's kind of a good spot for the Penguins after getting dominated, but Rust out. I have friends who are huge Penguins fans. I'm like, Sidney Crosby in his 20th season, only 11 players played 20 seasons with one team. Ovechkin will be the next. But you're going to put Beauvillier and Drew O'Connor on his line with Rust out? I mean, how hard do you want to make it for him? I mean, it's just this is such a weak-looking team. Now, Rutger McGroarty could be a good player, but Bunting and Raquel with Malkin, those are your top 6 forwards? I mean, in all honesty, Crosby's the only one who should be a top 6 forward in the NHL right now. Maybe that'd be too harsh on Malkin, and but good God, it's a weak hockey team yet again, with everybody's favorite player, Sid the Kid, going through his 20th season. Let's go over the line history. This 6.5 -113 to the over. The one thing about the Penguins, and I truly believe this. Now, last night was not an example of this, so it doesn't really fit my thing. But I think the Penguins against the best teams in the league as a dog are going to be buy on. And against the worst teams in the league, when they're favorites of legitimate favorites, fade. And that's what I plan to do this year, because they do have character, with Sid the Kid leading the way. And now they're going to probably show that character after losing 6-0. This line opened up at +114 to the Penguins, now +123. Look, Detroit Red Wings are moving in the right direction. I can understand anybody who believes in this squad. Why wouldn't you believe in Steve Yzerman on the 1s and 2s, putting this team together? Larkin has proved that he's the real deal captain, and Lucas Raymond could go for 90 this year. I wanted him in the Hockey Bulls pick too early. Patrick Kane showed he's still got a lot of game left. That really surprised me. Compher and Kopp as your 2-3 centerman. If they were your 3rd and 4th line centerman, that's a Stanley Cup type team. I really like them both. Now, whether or not they're ready to move this team into playoff type realm, is Seider ready to take the next step? Is Petrie going to bounce back? What are you going to get from Simon Edvinsson? They believe a lot in him. A Sherratt now on that first line with Seider. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Penguins, Red Wings.
Yeah, I'm on 2 plays in this game with Pittsburgh and Detroit. I'm on the Red Wings team total, over 3.5 plus 108 at Bet Rivers. And I'm also on the full game over 6.5 in this one. I look at it as, with the it's actually a very good price at Bet Rivers with that over 6.5 plus 106. Wow, plus money. Oh, that's definitely.
And what was the team total number?
Plus 108.
Okay.
For the over 3.5. I feel I lean Detroit money line, but I'm turning that minus 136 money line into over 3.5 at a plus price because I feel if the Red Wings win, they're going to score 4 tonight. Pittsburgh is a nightmare defensively. I can't stress this enough. The Rangers made them look foolish in their own end. Do you know how many below average defenders they have? Carlson can't defend. Ryan Graves is soft. You can push him around because I don't think he's physical enough. Letang's defensive game is nowhere near what it once was. They have just so many liabilities right now on the blue line, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers picked them apart last night in that game. The one thing I like about Detroit is their offense. They're loaded as far as scoring. Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin, Patrick Kane. You go on down the list, and all 4 lines can chip in. Tarasenko, Comfer. You go Andrew Kopp, Christian Fisher. You've got guys like Joe Veleno and Jonathan Berggren on the 4th line who are capable of chipping in as well. It's one of those deals where I think when you look at it here with this Detroit team, they're going to be able to score. I worry about their blue line still a little bit. Sherratt, Seider, and then after that, you got a young kid in Edvinson. Jeff Petrie, he can be a bit sometimes susceptible in his own end. Same with Eric Gustafsson. They're going to go with Billy Husso in net. Great in the preseason. He's had injury issues. Let's see how he fares here right away. First start of the year. So I think Pittsburgh can score as well in this game against a susceptible Detroit D, but I think the Red Wings could. And Joel Blomqvist, look, it wasn't pretty for him in the preseason. I know it'll be his first start, but this Pittsburgh team in front of the goaltender right now is just not playing very well. So I think Detroit wins, but I prefer the team total over 3.5, and I'm also on the over 6.5 here as well.
You got it. You are locked in, my friend. And Husso, I did a long stretch of with him. One season. He's had one season with the Blues and with 40 games. I fear for Red Wings fans now. I mean, they just got so much invested in Husso. I really do fear for them because he could easily, get hurt. And who's good? What Talbot? Not hurt, but not succeed. And then Talbot comes in. I mean, it concerns me. But it's a big year for him. Let's roll on. Next up, we have Dallas.
This is not official, but I'm on the first period over as well. But I didn't want to double up on the total.
No, well, yeah, you sort of have, though, with the team total. You don't want to triple up then, I feel you. Because you have the Red Wings and the full game. Let's roll on. 8 p.m. Eastern, Dallas Stars, Nashville Predators, Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. There are a lot of us on the Edmonton Oilers to win the cup, a ton of us. Maybe we're simplifying things too much. The sexy pick after the Oilers is these Dallas Stars and the phenomenator, Jake Ottinger in net, who's coming off a poor season. I mean, it's not bad as bad as Husso's year last year, 3.55 goals against average, 892 save percentage. He was hurt a lot of it, but the phenomenator, 23-24 season was not very good. 2.72 goals against average, 905 save percentage was not very good. And then Saros is listed, but he's day-to-day with the lower body injury. I thought he wasn't going to start. I expected Wedgwood to be in net, who's now their backup, 2.85 goals against average, 899 save percentage. And then Robertson underwent foot surgery in the offseason, so he's going to start the year. He looks like he's ready to go opening night, but I don't know, if that first line, which is, Rupee Hintz looked like he was going to be a 90, 95-point guy. And then last year, he took such a step backwards that I didn't expect. Now, he's a quality player. He can play shorthanded. He's accountable. He's very, very good. I do have Wyatt Johnston in the hockey pool, though, and I know how high you are on the kid there. Let's go over the line history. So, Wyatt right now, third line centerman with Ben and Dodonov, which is, interesting. I was very interested to see where they were going to play him. But you could say that line and Matt Duchesne's line is, 2A and 2B. But Stankoven with Hintz and Robertson on that first line. And Dumba, the idea that Dallas thinks Dumba can be a number one line, a top defensive player. I think it's just not going to work for them. But the Harley Labushkin line second is good, and they got Esa Lindell and all that. So it was very hard for me not to have futures on the Nashville Predators. I've just done this for too long, and I know the team that makes the most exciting offseason moves doesn't fulfill generally the idea for them. And it was so because I want to play them in Xbox so badly. I want to be this Predators hockey team. So I stayed off of it. We have the Predators at plus 105 at home. That has to be Saros induced. Now plus 106. I mean, why? How else would they not be a favorite in their home opener? I mean, it's got to be that. And Saros wasn't even that good last year. This total's at 6.5 minus 119 to the under. This opened up at 6 juice to the over. It's now 6.5 juice to the under. You can get either. Take it away for us, Bobano, and start with, do you think Saros will be in net?
Very, very the great game. What can you say? These are two teams that obviously in the Western Conference are legit contenders on paper. There's no doubt. Dallas, back-to-back seasons of getting to the conference final. Nashville with all the additions, Stamkos, Marchessault, Shea, all the additions they made. They're a lot better team, and it was a team that had no expectations last year and still got into the playoffs and into the first round and gave Vancouver a tough series. So there's no doubt this is going to be a great matchup tonight. I think ESPN Plus has this game as well, so it'll be available on that platform. If you look back at Dallas last year, and especially Ottinger, didn't get off to the best start of the season necessarily in the regular season last year. We'll see how he fares here tonight in this one, but obviously we love Dallas up front. I think this is probably, as far as forwards, maybe the best Dallas team in years. I mean, they've got 4 lines that can all attack, all contribute. They have depth for days. Robertson, Hint, Stankoven, a full season of Stankoven. Watch out. Marchment, Duchesne, Sagan, Ben Johnston, Dodonov. You got Sam Steele and Colin Blackwell on your fourth line. Wait till Maverick Bork comes back from IR. The blue line has some questions, though, for the first time in a long time. We love Heiskanen. Lindell's great, but you're going to see Matt Dumba. Can he still play at a high level? Looks like he's going to play with Heiskanen to begin the season. Lundqvist's a young guy. He's been in and out of the lineup. Labushkin's more of a sandpaper, physicality type defenseman on the third pair with playing with Harley. They bring in Brendan Smith. A few more questions on the blue line. Ottinger has had slow starts at times. We'll see. Wedgwood is confirmed for Nashville, by the way.
Okay.
Scott Wedgwood is confirmed. Interesting angle because this is his old team, Dallas. He backed up Ottinger last year here in Dallas. Now here he is with Nashville, and he gets the first start of the season against the team he was with last year, the Dallas Stars. Obviously, Nashville up front with Forsberg, O'Reilly, Nyquist was already a prolific top line. They add Stamkos, they add Jonathan Marchessault, and now you can slide down Sissons and Tomasino and Evangelista. Pretty solid trio into the third line. This now is a greater depth up front. The Nashville Predators, this team. Blue line with Yossi, Fabro, Shea, Shen, Lozon, Carrier is very impressive. I think when you look at this game, too, another thing I've looked at, last year these teams met. They actually played some track meets, 9-2, 6-3, 4-3. You got Wedgwood, not that Wedgwood's not capable, and he's going to want to play well tonight against his old team, but he's still not quite on the level of UC Saros. Ottinger's had some shaky starts. I think it's a sneaky over here, and I'm going to make that official. Over 6, Dallas, Nashville. Over 6, minus 118, I believe, is the price. Yeah.
Over 6, minus 118. I mean, this is ridiculous to me that Predators would be dogs. I just, with all the moves in the offseason, do I really want to bet them in game 1? But it's ridiculous.
Two teams I have no interest betting against, so
that's true.
An easy pass for me from a side standpoint. Great game to watch. I do think the over's got value though at 6.
I might get to the Predators, honestly. This doesn't make sense to me, especially with Robertson going to get off to a slow start, and I'll have to. I don't want. We've gone too long in NHL. We got 2 games left before we get into NFL. So let's roll on to the next. But I'm very interested in. And I think this is just too far. God, but there's so much pressure on the Predators in their home opener here with all these moves made. I just maybe it's best to stay off. God, but this line does not make sense. I don't know.
I've got both of these teams to win the cup and win the West, so that's why I'm staying out. from a side.
Let's roll on. 8 p.m. Eastern with the Columbus Blue Jackets and Minnesota Wild, Excel Energy Center in St. Paul, Minnesota. Elvis Merzlikins, the number one goaltender to start the year for the Jackets, 13, 17, 8 last year, 3.45 goals against average, 8.97 save percentage. Very emotional dude. Questionable in that. I cheer for him and I hope he succeeds. He wants this opportunity badly. Philip Gustafsson, the starting for the Wild, 19, 18, and 4, 3.06 goals against average, 8.99 save percentage, 3 shutouts. I have Marchenko in the 12th round of the hockey pool I'm in, and Chinnikov as my last pick, a 14th round with 15 teams, pretty deep in. And I'm going to back the Jackets in a bunch of spots. And then you could say, well, this is the one you should back them, in their first game without Johnny Hockey there. And I have a difficult time getting there. The Minnesota Wild home opener. I mean, do I? It's very tricky when something like this, the death of a star player, is involved. I guess you want to back the side that's the more emotional spot, but I don't have a great ROI on those spots either. And I have Marco Rossi. I got him in the 13th or something like that. Late pick for Rossi. I can't wait to watch him between Kaprizov and Zuccarello. You guys, anyone who's capped with me knows I think Joel Eriksson is such an incredible hockey player. He can do everything on the ice that you need. Short-handed, big body, win faceoffs. He does so much. I think that this is a good hockey team. I think Brock Faber is ready to take that next step to be excellent, and him and Brodin on this back end. Boldy taking the next step. I didn't know how to handle the Columbus Blue Jackets in their first game without Johnny Hockey. I didn't know exactly what to do. I thought it'd be better if we just talked it out first. This opened up at the 6.5, juice to the under, quickly moved back to 6, and then now it's back up at 6.5. There has been a very slight move to the over at the 6.5 number. And on the money line here, we have Columbus at plus 221. They opened up at plus 196. There's been a big move towards Minnesota. Do you want Columbus here? Do you want Columbus in their first game when they're at home? Everybody kind of handles the death of a star player differently. And it's sad that we got to talk about it. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Jackets, Wild.
This is the game I was talking about as far as a favorite that's just way overpriced. And to me, that's Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota makes the playoffs this year. Now, I know they've got, obviously, still Kirill Kaprizov, Joel Eriksson, like him. Boldy's capable, obviously, although he can be streaky. But I don't know where they're going to get offense consistently from the bottom six. From, Marcus Hartman's capable at times. But is Marat Husnudinov going to step up? He didn't really do that with the opportunity last year. Their blue line after Brodin, Faber, and Spurgeon, and it's nice to see Brodin and Spurgeon finally healthy. That's a good thing for Minnesota. They need those two guys, and Faber's already a very good defenseman, as we know. But I'm not a Zach Bogosian guy at this stage of his career. John Merrill's doesn't do it for me, and Jacob Middleton, you can beat him with speed. I think you can really get after it if you beat him with speed. It's not exactly a fleet of foot. And then in net, look, Gustafsson, great when he's on, but he can be pretty bad when he's off his game. And then you've got, of course, the aging Marc-Andre Fleury behind him. It's going to be Gustafsson, though, tonight. To me, there's just not enough in that overall package for Minnesota to say, yeah, minus 250, let's lay it with them in this kind of a price range on opening night. Meanwhile, you look at Columbus. Look, they do have some injuries up front. Voronkov's on IR. Boone Jenner, the captain's on IR. Justin Danforth's out as well. So they're not a picture of health entering the season up front. But blue line-wise, they are. You look at up front what they've got now. Chinnikov, Marchenko had a great season. I think he's going to take another step. I think a very, very emotionally charged up Sean Monahan, who is as close to Johnny Gaudreau as anybody on this team. Best friend. I think he's going to have a really good season. And I think he's going to be chomping at the bit to really have a great year in honor of his fallen teammate and friend, Johnny Gaudreau. JVR, look, at this stage of his career, his best days are behind him, but he gives them a net front presence, right, for those tips and deflections. He's so good at that. He's now on the second line with Fantilli and LeBanc. He can do some of that dirty work to get them the puck. I think Fantilli takes a big step this year. Kent Johnson on the third line. You have some offense there. Hardworking, good forechecking fourth line with Matthew Olivier, Sean Corrali, and Zach Aston Reese. Blue line, look, Werenski, Provorov, Severson, Christensen, Jack Johnson, Erica Branson. It's not great, I'll admit, but Jordan Harris brought in from Montreal. It's going to come down probably to Merzlikins and Tarasov. We've talked about these guys a lot. Can they step up finally? We'll see about that. Bottom line is, I think this Columbus team is going to really want to put a good foot forward. The devastation of losing their teammate, Johnny Gaudreau, in that tragedy. You want to kind of show that we can show solidarity and coming together. And, we can't bring Johnny back, but what we can do is we can honor him by really coming together and giving it our all every night as a hockey team for the community as well. I think you're going to see that. So I'm on Columbus here at the big price, and I'm just going for the big score here. We're going to take Columbus plus 230 at PointsBet. Is actually, no, plus 232 now at Bet Online. So a couple more cents. Plus 232 at Bet Online. And I will probably be on Columbus in their home opener too, because that's going to be a special environment. But even on the road starting the season, which may not be quite the same atmosphere, to me, this is just Minnesota's overpriced. Plus 232 for Columbus. Worth a shot in a game I think they're capable of winning.
Yeah, I completely get it. I can't get there, unfortunately, but I will be on in their home opener. But it would not surprise me at all to see you cash this one. Let's get into our final game before Thursday night football. Final game in NHL, Blues Sharks. We've already heard from our Ron Crawford. His NHL play of the day is the St. Louis Blues. Ron Crawford moving on the Blues. I'm not on the Blues, but very uncomfortable being on the other side of our guy, Ron Crawford. Blues play of the day, and he's 1-0 to start the year. Now, I like the Sharks here tonight. I imagined that I was going to be all alone with this spot, but I do. The Blues opened their season with an impressive 3-2 win at Seattle. The two players that they signed off the Oilers, Broberg and Holloway, played a huge role. They signed to the offer sheets that were unmatched. Broberg scored. Holloway assisted on that goal. Kyrou scored 2 goals. He led the Blues with 31 last season. I find Kyrou doesn't have the truculence for me to appreciate him enough as a hockey player, where I find that Thomas sort of does have that toughness, but it's Torrey Krug began the year on IR. I don't think that's a big loss. They came back from 2-0 down. For the Sharks, Couture and Vlasic begin the year on the IR. I don't think that matters much. Celebrini returned to practice. He's going to make his NHL debut here. And this arena is going to be rocking. And the Blues just won a big game against Seattle. The San Jose Shark team has hope. We know that hope's going to go away real fast, but they have hope to start the year. They have the Vancouver-born Mac Celebrini in his first game. And I spent a long time to figure out, how do I want the Sharks? And I ended up, and this is sort of a passive thing, even though I had a great ROI with these last year. It's just first period. First period Sharks at plus 127 is what I got. Toffoli and Eklund, I think, are fine for Celebrini. Granlund and Zetterlund. Will Smith has got to prove a lot in that line. Wenberg on the third row with Goodrow and Kunin. Nico Sturm on the fourth line. You could say, look at their defense. They have no chance. Ferraro and Ruda as their number one pair. Yes, you're right. Wallman and CC is the number 2 pair. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. And how many times am I going to bet on the Sharks this year? Not very often. But I'm going to take them here. I imagine that we wouldn't see not one person with Sharks, and all we're seeing is Blues and Blues and Blues and Blues. And that's fine. I think the Sharks come out guns a-blazing, and the Blues feel good about themselves. Would it be a surprise to watch them lose here at San Jose? No, it wouldn't. But I did want the first period rather than the full game, because the Blues are a much better hockey team than the Sharks at this stage in the development. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. The Sharks right now are plus 139. They opened up at plus 145, 6 cents of movement towards the Sharks. If I was in a different situation too, I would double up. I would be on the Sharks first period and the Sharks full game. I'm just not there, and it's early in the year. And the under 6 opened up at minus 107, now minus 115. We have an 8 cent move towards the under. Take it away here for us, Bobano, Blue Sharks.
Oh boy, you know what? I'm with you. I'm just debating on because I've got both of these bets in pocket. I'm just debating on which one I want. I think I want the team total. You're right. That blue line in Blackwood and net, Blackwood shitting in the dead of night. I don't trust Mackenzie Blackwood either, and he's in net, and we know what did he have? 3 goals against and
3.45, 899 save percentage was not good.
I didn't love that. That blue line is not very good. And if they win this game, I'm going to be so pissed that I didn't go the money line route. But I do have a piece of San Jose money line here. Look, let's be real about St. Louis here, about that Seattle game. They were getting boat raced in the first half of that game. Like, Seattle was clearly the better team. It was taking it to them. And then one goal that got them going to make it 2-1. And then they finally got to their game. But if Seattle makes that 3-0, we're not even talking about St. Louis being 1-0 going into this game. They didn't play good at all, the Blues, for the first half of that game. They played better after that, but that was not a complete 60 minutes of hockey against the Kraken in their first game. So I look at this here as San Jose's fired up. This is their first game with the new era. Macklin Celebrini, NHL debut. Will Smith, NHL debut. I actually like the forward moves they made. They bring in Barclay Goodrow from the Rangers, who had a great playoffs for them. Alex Wenberg also brought in from the Rangers. They got depth now on that third line. Ty Dellandrea from the Dallas Stars. You know, Dallas is just too loaded up front. He lost his spot, Ty Dellandrea, but I think he's a very, very good depth forward. I actually like this team up front quite a bit. Toffoli brought in for veteran leadership, cup experience. Zetterlund, Celebrini, Smith, Granlund, Eklund, I think, who's going to take another step, one of their good prospects. I actually think they're pretty solid up front, but that blue line's a concern. Blackwood's a concern. I do like this spot. And San Jose swept St. Louis last year. Swept St. Louis. 3-0 the Sharks went against the Blues last year. They won all 3 meetings. I think they're live tonight. I agree with you as well. I am on the money line, but I'm not going to double up. Plus 145 points bet, but that's not the official play. I feel safer with the team total that I bet on San Jose, and that's what will make official, Jimmy. San Jose team total over 2.5, minus 120 at Pinnacle.
I get it. I absolutely get it. Going on St. Louis here. Yeah, there's not one other person in the chat that said Sharks. It's just Bobano and I
could see 4-3 Blues, and I cashed my team total. So there you go. Yeah.
I think I mean, the barn's going to be rocking. Yeah. They say there's 50,000 hockey fans in San Jose, and they all show up, and they all go to the games, and they all support. And Kyle Hintley on the Sharks as well. Okay, nice to see. Let's review all action here in NHL before we get into Thursday Night Football. We have, for myself, I'm on the Bruins minus 1.5 at minus 103. One thing I just wanted to mention, too, I know a lot of you guys are on the plus 1.5, which is a bet I've never made in my life in NHL. And you know, I often think that if you split up that unit instead of taking the plus 1.5, took a money line and game to go to overtime instead with half and half, that you'll have a much higher ROI. It breaks my heart when someone's on the plus 1.5 and their huge dog was in the whole entire game, but they lose the bet on an empty netter. So something that I've always felt. But okay, Bruins minus 1.5 puck line for me at minus 103. Then Bobano's on the Sabres at minus 105. I am adding the Florida Panthers and the under 6.5. Adding that. Leafs Devils, we stayed off. I am going to bet the Islanders to make the playoffs. I'm going to bet that at some point this afternoon as a future bet for a little more than my unit price. Bobano's on the over 5.5 in Utah Islanders at minus 125. I'm on the Islanders minus 1 at plus 110. Yeah, I'm right with you, Steve. I bet the puck lines all the time because of the open nets. Oh yeah, they're the empty nets. Bobano's on the Red Wings team total over 3.5 plus 108 and the over 6.5 at plus 106. Bobano's on Nashville over 6 at minus 118. And God, I don't care. This just goes against. I have to stay off the Predators. So I'm just going to delete this. I can't look at it because I might bet it. I don't want a team that's made all these moves in the offseason, but to be a dog just because Wedgwood's in net in their first game, I think is a mistake. But I'm off here. Bobano's on the Jackets at plus 232. He's on the Sharks team total over 2.5 minus 120. I'm on the Sharks first period at plus 127. And Ron Crawford, NHL player today, is the St. Louis Blues. That is the situation. Let's move on to Thursday night football. Bobano, you've had tough luck here on these Thursdays. Losing the Bucks last Thursday was really shouldn't have happened. Should not have happened. Thank you, Ski, my man. Thank you. Thank you. Last year was strong, in the end, up like just under 17 units, but it felt like I was losing all year long. I was not comfortable for one day, not relaxed ever capping NHL, and now I'm already off to an 0-2 start. So we'll see how it bangs out. But let's get into NFL football here. Now, Bobano, you had a huge week in NFL Pub Hub 2 weeks ago, and you had another huge week in NFL this past week, but you weren't on NFL Pub Hub. So I know the 0-4 is just a fluke situation here with Thursday night football. But let's get back rolling here. We do have the Stacks play of the day number 2 here for DK Metcalf, over 69.5 yards from our guy, Justin McKelvey. Stacks play of the day, DK Metcalf over 69.5 yards at plus 117 alternate line.
Stacks, 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 stacks.
Dutch Boy Fresh says Niners can't go 0-3 in the division. He's backing Frisco in this one. Shout out to Kyle Hintley, and thank you for the $20 dono, my friend. Blessing our action. Thank you. Nutflush Allen says absolutely zero chance Kyle Shanahan lets off the throttle tonight. If they go up, it will be nonstop offense. They will push it till clock expires. It sucked. This has not happened. I don't remember this happened. On our Tuesday show, we talked about it. Gone from 47 to 47.5. And I was like, we got to get on the over. And then during the show, it went up to 49. During the show, and then that upset me. So I'm going to look to get live on this over. Let's set this one up and talk to Bobano about his plan of attack here for Thursday night football. Let's move over to the line history here for this one. So a couple points here, and I'm not going to go over my whole breakdown, of course, that's available right now with Troy Torrance. But the 49ers could have been picked up at -3. You could still pay for the -3. It's a -3.5 right now, which is exactly where it opened. There's been a 1 cent move. There's really been no movement. Let's just say no movement at all on the spread over at Pinnacle at 3.5, although we knew that 3s were widely available. Wow, this total is back to 48. Okay. Wow, now we're talking. So this went up to 49.5 during our show, and I thought it just went to 49, but I guess it moved. The first move was up to 49.5. Well, it went from 47.5 during our show to 49.5 at 9:06 p.m. A 2-point move. Now it's gone back to 40. I wonder how far. I know that these Thursdays have, a lot of primetime unders are being cashed. So I'm very interested in the over now. It's back right in my wheelhouse at 48. Of course, you'd want a 47. I was thinking of just moving on a live, and I will be moving on a live on our live stream tonight. I'm going to be looking to get on the over in this football game. And you guys know these are my two teams. This is my division. I've only bet unders when these two teams played for years and years and years. I just think it's a very different situation. 76% of tickets, 78% of cash on the San Francisco 49ers, and on the total, 68% of tickets and 65% cash on the over. These 49ers coming off their third loss in 4 games, 24-23 at home versus Cardinals. They lost Jake Moody to the high ankle sprain that obviously messed with their plans. They've signed veteran kicker Matthew Wright to take over here. The 49ers offense has been great all season. That's not been a problem. 384 yards. Now, they did go 1 of 6 in the red zone, but there were some problems with the strategy, knowing that they didn't have a kicker. They've lost 1 division game in the past 2 seasons in the NFC West. Now they're 0-2 to start the year. So I can understand everybody wanting to back the San Francisco 49ers. One thing that we did talk about here, and it was something that Birdie brought up, and it was a big point for Birdie, was that these 49ers just played in the hottest game ever at Levi Field. 98 Fahrenheit. It was over 100 on the field. The team we saw previous in a situation like that, without a bye in between, were the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers played in a very, very hot football game, and then they had to face the Falcons immediately afterwards, and their defense just got so tired in the second half. They were walked through. And now we have 3 to 4 days off for the 49ers defense. after playing in that 100 Fahrenheit. It makes me extremely uncomfortable to back the San Francisco 49ers. No Greenlaw, no Hargrave. Now no Ambry Thomas, and Gross Matos would be helpful. Now no Talanoa Hufanga. I mean, the defense is just concerning. And look, I can understand this is an angry 49er team going up against a Seahawks team who we've seen who they really are the last couple of weeks after that 3-0 start. Now you have no Nwosu. You have basically Derek Hall and Mafe. Their two top pass rushers are not going to be. Reek Willen, Byron Murphy not going to be playing. Yeah, I get it. You'd want to fade Seattle here. And I think that you guys might be completely right. But for me, I guess it would only be a San Francisco 49er first half play. Maybe that's what I should do to get involved with the 49ers. But let's hear Bobano's breakdown. I guess I do want I guess I do want an over pregame if it's going to slip back down to 48 or 47.5. I guess I need to keep an eye on it, see if it slips down to 47.5. Take it away for us, Bobano. 49ers Seahawks Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I have hesitations laying 3.5 with San Francisco. But the problem is San Francisco's owning them. They are still, I think, the better team. I could see them winning this game. And I don't trust Seattle's defense enough. It's worked out perfectly. I faded Seattle and been on the over the last 2 Seattle games. I took Detroit in the over, Giants in the over. Why? Because Seattle's great defensive numbers with that 3-0 start were made against Bo Nix, Skylar Thompson, Tim Boyle, and Jacoby Brissett. Those 4 quarterbacks, those 3 teams. Now they face some real teams that can move the football, and we saw that Seattle defense struggle mightily. I think they're going to struggle mightily. And yes, the Niners have had red zone issues, especially last week, but I think they turn those red zone issues into touchdowns tonight, those red zone chances into touchdowns tonight. But you're right about the Niner defense. It's not just Hargrave and Greenlaw. It's, Talanoa Hufanga is a big loss, okay, in that secondary. It's a big loss for San Francisco. Now, the one concern I have, and I'm on the over as well, over 48 minus 114, Jimmy. You can lock that in for me. The one concern is the Seattle offensive line beaten up last week in the loss to the Giants, injuries, and this right tackle, who is going to be lined up tonight against Nick Bosa. That's a concern. We know Nick Bosa is one of the best pass rushers, and that right tackle for Seattle got abused big time last week against the Giants. That's his name, Stone Forsythe. That's concerning to me, and that could hurt the over. I get that. Hopefully Geno can escape and still be able to make plays if that becomes a matchup issue, because the rest of this Niners defense just ain't that scary right now. And again, the injuries have really hurt them. So again, we're talking about an over on a Thursday night, which is never a gimme, but we did have a game sale over the total last week between the Bucks and the Falcons on a Thursday night, which dispels this notion that every Thursday night game's got to go under the total. I think the matchups dictate over, just like they did last week, 2 games for Seattle, with those games going over the total. And if the Niners had a kicker, Jake Moody, and he didn't get hurt, and they were a little bit better in the red zone, then there is no friggin' way that Arizona-San Fran game would have stayed under the total last week, because that was a dead nuts over for more than half the game. So I'm with you here, over 48, minus 114.
I like it. I'm going to join you here. I'm going to be – I do want the action pre-flop, and I will look to bet it live. My first number, I guess, obviously 42.5 would be the goal, but I think I fire at 43.5. So I'll fire at 43.5, and then of course, if it's going wrong, I'll fire again at 39.5. That'll be my plan. So no SGP for me coming into this game. We're 11-5. I'm 11-5 live betting on our NFL live stream, so it's working great with everybody. I knew it would. We're all watching the same game together, talking about angles. I'd like to join you on this over 48. And again, let me also say, I don't think I've ever bet an over in the 49ers Seahawks game. Like these were always, I couldn't wait for the line to come out. I would immediately bet the under. Not with these 2 defenses and the injuries. It's the injuries. It's not the defense. It's not the roster. It's the injuries. Nutflesh says, how does Geno not have a run for over 15.5 yards? He's been looking very good, with his legs.
I think his rushing prop's a good prop tonight, and I think both running backs, too. Mason for the Niners. And I think last week, look, they got ripped. Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, who was a pass-heavy coordinator under Kalen DeBoer with Washington in college football last year, He's now the OC with Seattle. He got really criticized for throwing the ball too much, drop back passing way too much with Geno last week against the Giants. They know the run defense has been leaky. Look what the Niners gave up against the run to Arizona last week. Kyler Murray ran for almost 100, and so did James Conner. The two of them combined at almost 200 rushing yards against San Francisco. I think it's a Kenneth Walker night. I think they get him going again, get him involved early and often. So I think both running backs in this game go over their rushing yards as well.
365 hasn't moved down yet. I assume they're going to follow the other book's lead. They're still at a 49. It's interesting, Bobano, the talk about the running backs here, because I guess it would make it easier to put the SGP together, because I do like the over. And then if you want rushing yards right now, Mason at 83.5, Purdy at 12.5. Purdy's been soaring over those. Walker at 63.5, Charbonnet at 13.5.
There's some people in the chat like a Niners first half, first quarter. I always lean more that way with San Francisco if I'm betting on them, that they're better early. So, yeah I don't mind that.
The scripted plays.
Yep.
I like the 49ers first half as well. I probably want to be involved with the 49ers first half, but now that I think about it, God, I can't wait for the game tonight. It's going to be so much fun. So I guess if I could go into the game pregame with 49ers first half, and the over, and then I think it would be pretty comfortable to put together an SGP, with, Mason and Walker. Is there a running, like if you were to put together an SGP right now, you would want both Mason and Walker on the running rush yards over. You tie that with the over.
I would. I think both can have success running the football here tonight. Both of them. These run defenses have been leaky both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Look what Seattle did. We talk about how bad the run D was for San Fran against Kyler Murray, James Conner. What about Seattle? They didn't have Devin Singletary last week, the Giants. And here's Tyrone Tracy coming in and running for ripping for 130 almost on the ground. Yeah.
It's an interesting way of looking at this. Purdy's been looking very good running, but he also is banged up now. He had the back injury in one of those runs. So I wonder if he's a little more tentative in this one. 21-12 says Charbonnet over 13.5 receiving yards, went over that number all year. Dougie Wise, SGP, Metcalf, 56 plus receiving yards, Purdy, a touchdown, Leonard Williams under a half sack, and San Francisco to win at 245. I cannot wait to rock with all you guys this evening. Don't forget, we have our Cappers contest show at 3 p.m., and then we roll into our NFL live stream at 7:20 p.m. here. So maybe I will put together an SGP now that I sat with this for a little longer. Take both running backs over their rush yard props, taken over, and that's a pretty. I'll get a pretty nice price on that. So I think I might be leaning towards it. Okay, there we go. Bobano on the over 48 and minus 114. I'm going to join him on that, and I'm also going to move on this 49ers first half. So I'll have a ton of pre-game action. Markel says Mason is so square. Yeah, he's just been cashing. Markel, do you trust the Seahawks run defense? I mean, their front seven's rocked. But I can understand feeling that way. Now, look at some of the squarest plays all year in the prop market have been cashing, and it started right in that first game when everybody and their mama had Derrick Henry touchdown. He was the first touchdown of the game. We've been rocking these live shows so often. The very, very square, like when we were all on CeeDee Lamb over passing yards, he soared over that passing yard prop. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying. All right. Antoine Harris looking at anytime touchdown for Brandon Ayuk. Skunt bag play of the day. Seahawks plus 3.5 minus 105 for Skunt bag. Moving on, the Seahawks to cover the field goal. And that's copied and pasted. Robert Franklin on Geno over rush yards as well. Okay. G. Martinez says Mason only had 14 carries last game. Kyle getting ripped for it. Mason will have more tonight. Interesting. And Justin McCovey said the square wins too. I think that something has opened up with SGP that I'll be interested in. Okay, let's roll into college football here. We have the 3 games tonight on board, and then we have best bets from our guy Bobano. But we have a special guest joining us for this game. He broke this one down with Peter Loshak on Tuesday, so we're going to get his thoughts and feelings in our first game as well. So please welcome the star of Medicate Mondays every Monday and the tailgate every Saturday. Please welcome Daby Cab to the show. Daby, how are you, my man?
Hey.
Excited to be up here with you, Bobano. It's been a minute,
Yeah.
man. Good to see you up here. I tell you, Jimmy, we're week 7 now in college football. I feel like it's just starting, but we're already in week 7, which makes me sad because I love this time of year. But no, we're still here, so keep enjoying it.
It's going so fast. I was saying that as well. Like everything's just flying by. I mean, it's fun being busy, but good God, is this moving quickly? Let's get into action here for us tonight. This is game 1, and Daby Cab broke this one down with Pistol Pete Loshak on Tuesday. Coastal Carolina 4-1 off to a great start, 1-0 in the Sun Belt against the James Madison Dukes, 4-1, but 0-1 in the Sun Belt. Let's take a look at the line history, touch on the X's and O's, and hand it over to our guys. From a line history standpoint, we will use Pinnacle opening lines. We have James Madison -9.5 at -105 right now at Penny. They open up at 9, a half-point move towards the Dukes. We take a look at the total. We are sitting here. There we go. We are sitting here with a 61 -115 to the under. This opened up at 58.5 and it climbed up to 62.5 before we got down to a 61. So there's a 4-point move to the over, and now there's been a little bit of buyback. We get to to the cash flow in this one. We have 61% of the tickets on James Madison. And there we go. 61% of tickets and 59% of the cash on James Madison. And on the total, we have 73% of the tickets and 88% of the cash on the over. Bridgeforth Stadium here for this one. We have UL Monroe, Bobano gave us 2 weeks ago. It was a huge 21-19 victory at home over the Dukes. James Madison had 399 yards offense compared to just 257 on UL Monroe. 9 more first downs. They were up 10-0 after the first quarter. And then things fell apart for them. There was an 82-yard fumble return. That was a huge, huge game changer in this one. I mean, right off the hop, with the James Madison had a 90% expected win rate until a few minutes left in the second quarter. So very, very, very interesting loss, and then ideally a very nice bounce back spot. Coastal Carolina had trouble with ODU at home last out. It was not a convincing victory. They did a 531 yards of offense, but they let ODU put up 462. 4.5-point favorites. They covered comfortably. We will start with a review of the plan of action from our guy Daby Cab. Chanticleer's Dukes. Take it away, Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Yeah, so I texted Dutch, my pops, and a few other people as soon as this line came out, and I was like, I like the over. I think this is going to go up. And then you touched on how the line moved. It immediately jumped up. On Pete's show on Tuesday, he always gives me the best line available there, and I'm fine with that. So he gave me 61.5 when I was with Pete on Tuesday. But like I said, I got in right when this one came out. I like the over in this one. I understand that might be kind of a public bet. I don't remember exactly what percentage of the money you said was on the over, but I'm sure it was more. Barnett this year, he's been pretty damn good. 12 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's 2 yards off being the leading rusher for the Dukes. 57.7 completion percentage. So as a QB, I like what he's been doing. And he had 10 touchdown passes the 2 games before last week. I don't want to say look ahead because I don't think JMU was looking ahead to Coastal Carolina. But something was off in that game. I mean, they still outgained ULM. I think it was, I don't have it in front of me, 399 to like 250 or something like that, 400 to 250 rounded up yards in that game. They just didn't finish. They didn't put the ball in the end zone. That was the problem right there. You got to finish your drives. You got to score touchdowns. And I think that's something James Madison can do here. If you look at this total, Jimmy, so let's say, what is it at right now? 60.5 or 61.5?
It is dropping here. It's now at 60.5. Yeah.
So sorry, I was trying to do math there. I think that I got it right. So your implied total in this game is JMU 35, Coastal Carolina 25.5. I don't think Coastal Carolina gets to 25. I think maybe we get 21 out of them, but I think JMU gets into the 40s. So I guess maybe I should be on JMU as a side here and a bounce back, but I'm on the over. I think we get, 21 out of Coastal Carolina, and I think James Madison gets in the 40s. And this is one of those games where if JMU does start to run away with it, they've shown us they're not going to take their foot off the gas, right? I know they couldn't take the foot off the gas with UNC 70-50 because UNC kept scoring too. But against Ball State, that 67 or 63-7 win, it shows that even if they do get a bit of a lead, they're still going to keep pushing the ball down the field and trying to score. So over.
And did you tweet this out?
Yes, I did.
What was the number you tweeted it out at?
61.5. I gave it out with the show.
Okay, so over 61.5. Okay, you are locked in, Daby Cab. Let's hear from Bobano. Bobano, last week you were very, very good. 10-6 plus 2.87 units. So you're climbing back up. Take it away here for us. Your thoughts on our first Thursday nighter. Take it away.
Well, you look at James Madison, and obviously people were enamored with the North Carolina game and the 70-50 win, but then they get knocked down a peg by the loss to UL Monroe just recently. I think when you look at them, they're a solid team, especially on offense, but there's a few more holes than they had last year. Remember, Kurt Signetti moved on, although Bob Chesney's a great hire, no question about that, and he'll do a nice job here. But then you start to look outside of the North Carolina win. North Carolina's been pretty much a disaster since then. They played Charlotte, not very good. Gardner-Webb, not really good. Ball State, I think one of the worst teams in the country, Ball State, especially on defense. So, you start to look at it and you start to think, well, James Madison's schedule hasn't been great. I think Coastal can probably challenge them a bit in this game. You like what you've seen from Coastal offensively. And when you look at their schedule, they faced Virginia, they faced, a Jacksonville State team that's solid, but, a couple of better tests for them. They've been able to move the football. They've been struggling on defense. I like Coastal and the over, both. I'm going to make them both official here in this game. I do like the over. I agree with that. Both of these teams, as far as pace is concerned, James Madison plays an above-average tempo and above-average pace. Coastal, not so much, but this is not the Jamie Chadwell Coastal that just bleeds the clock, runs the football heavily. There's a lot more balance in Coastal's offense. They do throw the football more than they used to with Vasco at quarterback. So I do think the points are worth taking here. I do think there's just that North Carolina game has probably that result, 70 points, 70-50 win, probably left JMU a little overvalued from that point on. So I think this is a competitive game. We'll go with Coastal here with the points, and we'll go over 60.5 minus 110 at Bet365. Appears to be the best number with the total. And for Coastal, let me just see what Pinnacle's offering, because sometimes we get a cheap alternative spread. Can we get the 10 at a good number? Yeah, plus 10 minus 120 for Coastal.
While you're typing that in, Jimmy, I'll just say even though I said I lean JMU, something's been telling me not to bet it. Maybe it is the recency bias from UNC. Bobano, I like that angle. So there's a reason why I haven't bet JMU. I don't know what it is, but
a lot of weaklings too for James Madison outside of North Carolina. And now we find out North Carolina is not very good, because since that JMU loss, they blow it to Duke and then they get beaten, pretty much not handily by Pitt, but it never really felt like North Carolina was going to beat Pitt last week. They couldn't get a stop again on defense. So, and outside of the North Carolina game, you look at James Madison, it's Sisters of the Poor, Ball State, Charlotte, Gardner-Webb. There's not a lot of great opponents on that schedule. So I think it's a competitive game. I know it's James Madison off a bad loss at home. Coastal's got to travel on a short week, but I don't think there's a bargain with James Madison.
I like it. I would be on Coastal Carolina in a heartbeat if James Madison wasn't coming off of the loss.
Yeah,
this is a Coastal Carolina no bet. It just doesn't correlate just because of the loss. So I'm going to stay off of it. But I can understand both of you guys on the over. Daby Cab getting the 61.5 on Tuesday. Bobano getting the 60 at minus 108 right now at Bookmaker. Thank you, Billy Friedrich, for that one.
Excellent.
Locked and loaded. And Daby Cab will be right back with us for MLB. Daby Cab will be right back with us for MLB. And Daby Cab did finish the MLB season in the black, plus 3.13 units, ROI plus 2.37%. Excellent work, Daby, at the end of the year, climbing into the black. Great job. Great
Thanks,
job.
man. It's good to be in the black, but not where we want to be. You want to be higher than up 3
Yeah,
units.
always. Yep.
We want double-digit units, but
Yeah.
if somebody at the beginning of the year said, would you take a 2.37% ROI, you'd say yes.
No, fuck that. No, I wouldn't.
Maybe not you, but professional gamblers would say yes.
Okay, I mean, you say professional. I mean, I don't know what qualifies somebody as a professional. I do it every single day, and if I lose, it hurts my.
I just
I
mean
used to
generally
use that term for
professional
me. Now I
gambler
just
wants
say
2 to
sports better.
3% ROI, right? That's
No.
what all the pros
No.
are looking for, a 2 to 3% ROI. That's just
Yeah.
what we've been told for years and years.
But I guess, but three units is not gonna pay bills. Is my point, though.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so-
We
It's
aim
a
for
different
higher.
discussion, though. I enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, it's unit size and all that stuff, but
Yeah.
2.37% ROI is what people are looking for. Great job, Daby Cab, though, in MLB this year. Looking forward to rock with you again here very, very shortly. So we'll see you in probably about 30 minutes or so, my man.
Oh yeah.
Good to
There
see
he
you,
is.
Daby. There
Daby
you go.
Cab here. All right, let's roll into the next spot on the board for Bobano. We have 8 p.m. Eastern, Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders 1-4 in the Conference USA at Louisiana Tech Bulldogs 1-3, 0-1 in the conference. We're in Ruston, Louisiana for this one. Let's get into the line history here. We have a total at 49, juice to the under 49 at minus 110. This opened up at 48.5, up to half point to 49. And on the point spread, we have Louisiana Tech as 4.5 point favorites. This opened up at 4, went to 4.5, down to 3.5, and then up to 5.5. There was a ton of movement, and then it stayed on the 4.5 with the half point move to La Tech. Cash flow here for this one. We have 76% of tickets, 82% of the cash on La Tech, 76% of tickets, and 73% of the cash on the over. And we have both teams in the throes of losing streaks. Middle Tennessee's lost 4 straight. They didn't look that bad at Memphis, and they're coming in off of both teams are coming in off of a decent, bye, decent break. So, La Tech lost by 3 to Tulsa at home in overtime. That has not looked good since then. Tulsa has not looked good, but that 30-20 loss at NC State was not bad, and then they lose by 7 at FIU. The losses that Middle Tennessee have taken have been and looked a lot worse. Lose now 52-3 at Ole Miss. It's not that bad. We know what Ole Miss is, but Western Kentucky 49-21, Duke 45-17, and then they did screw Bobano and I when they played Memphis pretty tight. Take it away for us, Bobano. Blue Raiders, Bulldogs.
Yeah, from a side perspective, I want nothing on this game. Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech. Middle Tennessee's been a bet against for me, but I will say this. They played Memphis. They played Ole Miss. They played some decent teams, Duke. They faced a tougher schedule. Louisiana Tech's awful. Okay, Louisiana Tech's absolutely is not much better as well. They've had quarterback issues. They've had consistency problems. I think when I look at this matchup here, Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, I think it's a situation where Middle Tennessee is taking a step down in class, but I ain't ready to get behind them just yet. I do think this is one of the worst programs. Their defense is atrocious. Vadiato is a guy that can move the football, but he makes bad decisions and turnovers at the wrong time. But Louisiana Tech, look, they benched Jack Turner, and then they went to the other quarterback, the backup, and it's been a little bit better, but I think I still need to see more. And I'm just not ready to lay 4.5 with them. In fact, the one win of significance by margin, was against Nicholls State, which isn't saying a whole lot. So it's a really, really tricky game here, in my opinion. I'm staying away.
Nothing appeals to me in that bum fight. Let's move on to 8 p.m. Eastern. We have the UTEP Miners 0-5. 0-2 in conference at Western Kentucky Hilltoppers 3-2, 1-0 in conference. We lost on UTEP last week. It was not fun to watch. Not fun to watch. I thought we were in the game too. Western Kentucky minus 19.5 in this one. They opened up at 19.5 at Pinnacle. It went down to 19 and then back to 19.5. So we've had no movement at all on the spread at this number at Penny. On the total in this one, take a second here. On the total, we are sitting here with a 56, a minus 104 to the under. This opened up at 55.5, got up to 58.5, and then back down to 56. So U-shaped movement. We have a half-point move to the over. When we get to the cash flow for this one, 73% of the tickets and 90% of the cash on Western Kentucky. 69% of tickets and 70% cash is on the over. Again, and I hate saying this, but again, I find UTEP interesting here. Western Kentucky coming off that tough 21-20. Now they have a rest advantage. Western Kentucky last played on the 28th of September, but that was a huge game for Western Kentucky. They fought their heart out. 7.5-point dogs. They go into Boston College. They're up 20-7 going into the fourth quarter, and then Boston College wins. This isn't the type of thing where they're an angry group. They played very good football against the tough Boston College squad. Then they have a break. This makes me want to back UTEP here. And then if I did that, would I want UTEP on the first half instead of the full game, thinking that Western Kentucky will probably get their shit together? Take it away for us, Bobano. Miners, Hilltoppers, and Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I can only take Western Kentucky because UTEP is supposed to be in this great spot last week against Sam Houston State off a bye week. Sam Houston traveling on a short week, big comeback against Texas State. UTEP was that bad. It didn't look like they spent the bye week getting ready for that game. They were drilled early. They did kind of make it, they scored some garbage points, but at the same point in time, just not trusting UTEP again after last week. That was a spot that was set up perfectly for them, and they still lost 41-21 last week to Sam Houston State. Now they got to play a very good Western Kentucky offense led by Caden Veltkamp. I think they shouldn't have much problem scoring points here in this game, and I do think Western Kentucky's able to move the football successfully here. And plus, you got Western Kentucky, Jimmy, off a bye week, and the loss to Boston College, the game that Thomas Castellanos didn't play due to injury. But Western Kentucky played Boston College down to the wire, lost by 1. So you've got the better team off a bye week and off a loss prior to the bye week. They're capable of smashing UTEP if they want to here in this game. The question is, will they? But for me, I lean Western. It probably would, I actually do have a small lay in the points and a team total over 37.5 in pocket here with this UTEP Western Kentucky game. But I'm not going to make it official here.
I kind of like UTEP first half plus 10.5. I don't know if I get to the window, but I'm going to put this here first half plus 10.5. I mean, I just feel like Western Kentucky could easily overlook this spot early and then dig in and dominate.
There's just not much to say, Billy, about MTSU, Louisiana Tech. Two bad teams. Why bet it? That's what I say. Yeah.
All right.
That's quick.
Robert Franklin wondering what that Western Kentucky team total over is.
37.5 at Pinnacle, but most books have 38 or 39.5.
Wager Detective saying the over is sharp here. Wager Detective says no overlooking off the bye. I'm not talking about the coaching staff. I'm talking about the players. This is the worst team in the conference coming in, arguably. So I mean, I just think it's tricky. That's all. There's look, Bobano loves these Hilltoppers, respects these Hilltoppers, and he's not making an official pick. Why would that be? I mean, there's just something. I kind of like UTEP early. I don't know if I get to win, and they were horrific in that first half last week. So I'll need more time on it, but I do kind of like UTEP first half here. Wager says it's a smash and win game for Western Kentucky, and the over is a sharper play. I mean, yeah, I would think that the over would be the sharper play because we've seen movement there. I mean, you have 90% of the cash on Western Kentucky in this line. It's not moving at Pinnacle. Okay, there we go. Let's move on to Saturday action here. Saturday, October 12th. We have 5 best bets here from Bobano before we move on to MLB. So we get started at 12 p.m. Eastern. This is a big one. South Carolina Gamecocks 3-2, 1-2 in the SEC at the number 7th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. We're at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa for this one. You know, Alabama has had a wild roller coaster ride the last couple weeks. You beat Georgia in front of the world, and then you go into Vanderbilt and lose 40-35. An absolutely wild loss. South Carolina coming off the 27-3 loss at home to Ole Miss, an angry Ole Miss squad. South Carolina had 313 yards. It wasn't a horrific game, but 3 points as 10.5-point dogs was not good. They got that field goal to make it 14-3 and then just were not heard from since. Let's get into the line history here for this one and then hand it over to Bobano here. Millsy, no, we don't, and we need it. I get it. We will. Let's get that game up here tomorrow, my man. We have MMA Mills, star of the MMA Locker Room podcast here, rocking with us. Let's get into the line history here. We have Alabama at minus 21 here. Minus 21. They opened up at minus 22. We've had the 1-point move away from them. From a total standpoint here on Thursday at 1:03 p.m. Eastern, we have this total at a flat 50. This opened up at 50.5. It went up to 51 and then dropped to 50, a half-point move to the under. We get to the cash flow then for this spot. We have, give me 1 second. Find it. Here we go. We have 23% of the tickets, 33% of cash on the Gamecocks, 83% tickets, 87% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Gamecocks, Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa.
So I was debating, because I like Alabama. I bet Alabama as well, and I laid 20.5 at minus 120 at a book with Alabama. Debated, do I go with that or I go with the over for this game? Because I don't want to go with both. I'm going to go with the over instead. I feel better about that in this game. Over the total here, South Carolina, Alabama. Alabama off the loss against Vanderbilt. The offense wasn't the problem. Their offense isn't the problem. They can move the football. Jalen Milroe, Jam Miller, the running back, Ryan Williams, the incredible freshman receiver. The offensive line's been solid. They should move the ball on South Carolina. We saw South Carolina play one of the better offenses they've seen all year. Ole Miss last week, and they struggled. I think Alabama will move the football here against them. But I still don't trust Alabama's defense fully. The only concern is, can South Carolina actually take advantage of it? This is a South Carolina team that, unfortunately right now, offensively, they're going through some issues. Lenore Sellers hasn't been great. The offensive line hasn't played consistent. But, boy, there's so many holes in Alabama's defense, and especially the secondary. Hopefully South Carolina can do enough. I think they could. I think Alabama will score on South Carolina, but to me, until I see the Alabama Crimson Tide shore up the defense, I continue to view them as an over team, and we've kind of seen that, especially the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to go ahead with over the total here. We'll go with over 49 minus 122 at Pinnacle.
Over 49 at minus 122. You are locked and loaded. We roll on 12 p.m. Eastern. We head to Chapel Hill, North Carolina for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 4-2, 2-2 in the ACC, and North Carolina Tar Heels 3-3, 0-2 in the ACC. Let's get into the line history for this one. This total sitting at 60. It opened up at 57.5, so we've climbed all the way up to 60 at this point. Then let's get into the line history here on this one. We have right now at Penny, North Carolina +4. They opened up +6. This is a pretty big move towards North Carolina from +6 down to +4. That final move to, this morning at 10:52, right before the show started, you could have got a 5.5. It was 6 yesterday, 5.5. And so it's a big move today down to 4. Cash flow wise, 31% of the tickets, 39% of cash on Georgia Tech, 41% of the tickets, and 68% of cash on the under. Tech bounced back from the 31-19 loss at Louisville by defeating Duke 24-14. DC Capper gave it out as a best bet, and I didn't move on it till too late. I moved on it late Saturday, got the 10, was a push, and I was fortunate to push. At that point, I was very thankful. North Carolina coming up their third straight loss. They lose by 20 to James Madison, lose by a point at Duke when they were in complete control of 20-0, and then they lose 34-24 at home versus the Panthers. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Yellow Jackets, Tar Heels.
Yeah, we cashed tickets with Pitt and Pitt team total over last week on this show against North Carolina. We said that we were worried North Carolina is going to basically, I don't want to say throw a towel in on the season, but, the writing's on the wall. With the James Madison loss, they actually showed up against Duke early in that game, and then to just blow that 20-0 lead, lose 21-20. And then against Pitt last week, they were outplayed. Now, the offense did move the ball. Jacoby, Criswell has done a decent job, at quarterback. The offense has been decent, but they couldn't stop Pitt at all. Pitt ran the football with success. Pitt threw the ball against them with success. And I don't think it's going to change too much here against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, meanwhile, off a Louisville loss. They did beat Duke last week. But I think they want to get on a little bit of a run here. And, you got one of the better offensive lines in the ACC in Georgia Tech. They should be able to just dominate in the trenches. And along the line of scrimmage, it's a mismatch, in my opinion, for the Yellow Jackets O-line against this North Carolina defensive front. So I think all things considered, this is a cheap price on Georgia Tech here going into this game. I like Georgia Tech here, -4, -110 at Pinnacle.
Tech -4 at -110 for Bobano. Dougie Wise saying UNC should have lost by even more last week. It wasn't for a couple of Pitt turnovers. Wager Detective saying North Carolina seems to be the sharp side with the points, recency bias, buyback to the move, line back. I get it, but North Carolina is a public spot here. So to lie in the weeds, wait till it gets to 4 and attack it.
Yeah.
Honestly, with a 1.5 point move in the last 2 or 3 hours, I could see this moving back towards Tech over the next couple of days. But I get it. Let's roll on. 12 p.m. Eastern. Next up, UAB Blazers 1-4, 0-2 in the American at the Black Knights. We're at West Point, New York for this Army game. 5-0, 4-0 in the American. Remember, Bobano gave us Army to win the AAC at, what was it then? Plus 900?
900. That price ain't around anymore.
No, it is certainly not. That was a smash. They've been just smash and grabs. All these games have been smash and grabs. 42-7 over Lehigh Valley, 24-7 over Florida Atlantic, 37-14 over Rice, 42-14 at Temple, 49-7 at Tulsa. And now they come home against the UAB team that just lost 71-20 at home in front of their fans against Tulane. I mean, this team is falling apart in front of us. Take a look at the line history here. We have Army as 26-point favorites. Wow. They opened up at 24 and moved to 26. 2-point move towards the Black Knights on the spread. And on the total, give me a second here while this pops up. While I'm waiting for the total to show its face, let's talk about the cash flow. Cash flow on this Army game. We have, I believe it's up now. Let me just quickly check. Sorry, apologies for how slow this is. We have 55% of the tickets, 83% of the cash. 55 and 83 on Army, and the line moving 2 points towards them. On the total here for this one, we have a 55 -108. Open up at 56 and drop down to 54.5. Now it's at 55, so we have the 1 point move on the under. Cash flow wise on the total, 47% of tickets on the under and 75% of cash. Slight move towards the under. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Blazers, Black Knights at West Point.
Yeah, I've been on Army every week. They've rewarded me, and I've cashed with them every week. Why are we stopping now? We're against maybe an even worse team, which is totally falling apart. Trent Dilfer experience has been a disaster here for UAB. I don't see what changes here. This should be UAB's defense is horrible, and especially against the run. They're giving up 227.2 rushing yards per game, 5.2 yards per carry. Good luck with that against this extremely potent Army attack. And they got a quarterback in Bryson Daly that now can throw the football and make you pay for playing the run exclusively. But Bryson Daly's been great. Kanye Udo, outstanding running back for them, running the football. Yeah, this is lay it with Army one more time. We cashed an easy one on this show with them over Tulsa last week. we're going back to the well here. Minus 25.5, minus 110 at Bet99. And I'm going to go one step further with the team total over 40.5, minus 112 at Pinnacle for Army as well.
Army team total over 40.5. Was that minus 112?
That's right.
Minus 112. And what was the minus 25.5?
Minus 110.
Minus 110. You are locked and loaded. I brought up a second line history chart so that I won't take so long when I switch over from spread to total. So I apologize for that. Let me make sure this one is set up here. For our next spot on the board, Cincinnati UCF is next up. Why don't we just roll right into the line history here as I've got it all up. From a total standpoint, this opened up at 58.5. It's now at 58. It did go up to 59, but now it's at 58. So we have a half-point move towards the under. And on the spread, UCF opened up minus 3.5, went down to 3, back to 3.5, but now we're at 3 again. So we've had a move towards the Bearcats on the road here in this one. Let's take a look at the cash flow and set this one up for Bobano. Cash flow wise, come on. Sorry, it's hard with college football. So many goddamn games. Cash flow wise, we have 31% of the tickets and 50% of the cash on the Bearcats from 3.5 to 3. That is appealing. 51% of tickets, 51% cash on the under. It is a real legitimate coin flip here on this total. And we've seen that here from the action here. So we've seen that. Let's get the X's and O's up for Bobano here. Sorsby at the helm. We have Cincinnati coming off the 44-41 loss at Texas Tech, a heartbreaking loss that came off the heels of that huge win at home over Houston, 34-0, which was buoyed by how good Houston looked last week. UCF off back-to-back losses, 48-21 at home versus Colorado, and then at Florida, 24-13. Take it away for us, Bobano. Bearcats Knights at FBC Mortgage Stadium in Orlando.
Yeah, that's the wrong team favored to me. I think the UCF's kind of fallen apart. The last 2 games against Colorado and Florida have been ugly for their defense. The offense has suddenly started to struggle a bit. Now, I will say Cincy's defense and Cincy's run defense isn't great, so there is a bit of a concern there, but they're off a bye week, extra time to prepare. They were also banged up coming out of that Texas Tech loss. They had running back injuries. Brendan Sorsby was sore a little bit. They had issues as well with the running back group, like I said, had injuries. They had some defensive injuries. Now they have a chance to get a lot of their starters healthy, including those running backs. I think that's going to help. And I've been impressed with Brendan Sorsby, the Indiana transfer. He's played very well. I think something like 12 touchdowns or 14 touchdowns to 1 interception this year for him. So he's taken good care of the football. And like I said, this is a UCF team that defensively, they're not getting stops. And even offensively, we've seen things slow down for them. And Cincinnati off a loss, coming off a bye week. And you're right, that Houston win looks better after Houston knocked off TCU last week. So, like I said, I think you got 2 teams going in opposite directions. Cincinnati has definitely exceeded my expectations because I wasn't overly high on Cincinnati coming into the year, but I think I'm ready to get behind them now. And certainly the price is right. So plus 3.5, minus 110, Cincinnati.
Oh, wow. There's still a 3.5 out
Caesars.
there.
Yep.
Nice job.
And there's actually plus 3.5, minus 115 at BetMGM as well. So there are still a couple 3.5s floating out there.
This makes a ton of sense here for me. Bearcats is playing good football right now. So Cincinnati plus 3.5. We roll into the final spot on the board here for Bobano. Before we get into Major League Baseball, we have Sharpie, Daby Cab, and Jose Bouquett joining us here. Northern Illinois Huskies, Bowling Green Falcons. Bowling Green let us down last week, Bobano. We were on them. They won 27-20 at Akron. It shaped up for a smash and grab, and they just never delivered. And Northern Illinois coming off a 34-20 win at home over UMass. You correctly were on the Minutemen in last week's show. Last week you went 10-6. You had a great showing here. So Northern Illinois coming off the 14-point win over UMass. They've had such a Jekyll and Hyde season. You go into Notre Dame beat them 16-14, then lose in overtime 23-20 to lowly Buffalo Bulls. It's just hard to know when they're going to put their foot down. But these are two good football teams here in the MAC. Let's take a look at the line history. On the side, I thought I'd switched that already. Here we go. On the total, this opened up. Oh, it didn't move on either. Sorry, I thought I'd fix this all up for us. My bad. Let's get over to Northern Illinois. This total is at 48. Opened up at 47.5. Moved to 48 this morning at 8:30. And on the spread, we are sitting here with a 3. It's -3, -101 for Bowling Green. So although this hasn't moved off of the number, there's been 5 cents of movement to the Huskies. And on the cash flow, you have 14% of the tickets and 3% of the cash on Northern Illinois. That's wild. 7% of the cash, 7% of the tickets and 53% of the cash on the under. Both seem appealing from a market standpoint. Let's see if the X's and O's follow. Take it away, Bobano. Huskies, Falcons.
Great game. This is two teams that could still win this conference, in my opinion. It's going to be exciting to see. I personally had Bowling Green higher rated coming into the year than Northern Illinois. I actually think this might be a little bit of a discount now we're getting on the Bowling Green side after, a little bit of a lackluster win. It was a win, but it was a lackluster win against Akron last week. NIU is very, very up and down. There's no doubt. Last week against UMass, they moved the football, but turnovers were an issue. Just sloppy play. They still won 34-20, but they did not make that game necessarily easy on themselves. We'll see how they fare here. Of course, we remember the Notre Dame win, but you get into conference play, you kind of have more familiarity with your opponent. Bottom line is here for Bowling Green is that we're getting less than a field goal with them at home. Now, Northern Illinois has played well against them, and certainly their run game will test Bowling Green because the Bowling Green run defense has been a little bit spotty. But I think at the end of the day, you got home field on Bowling Green's side. You've got the quarterback that's better. I think I like Connor Bazelak a lot more than I like Ethan Hampton. I'm not saying Ethan Hampton can't play well, but I think Connor Bazelak's the better quarterback here in this game. And I think maybe the Akron game, the way Bowling Green played, I had a feeling they had more of an eye on this game. Northern Illinois, a team you're going to compete with for supremacy in this conference, team that beat Notre Dame earlier this year, a team that's kind of had your number. I think there's a great chance for Bowling Green to snap their little skid against Northern Illinois. I just think the quarterback it'll be a great game, close game. I just trust Bazelak a little more than Hampton in the quarterback position. And I think home field could make a difference here. We'll take Bowling Green. We'll go money line, though, Jimmy, instead of -2.5, -3. We'll go money line instead with Bowling Green -140.
-140. Amazing. Just 3% of the cash on the Huskies right now. Now, only 2,554 tickets in. We know that will change drastically, but it's amazing that the juice is moving in the Huskies' direction.
Yes, by the way, Penn State and A&M, those two performances where Bowling Green played those two teams tough. That A&M performance looks even better after A&M just completely and utterly destroyed Missouri last week. So, like I said, Bowling Green, I think they're sitting on maybe they're one of their better efforts here.
Finding a -133 at
even better.
Thanks
job,
to
Billy.
thanks to our friend Billy. What do you think? Wager Detective talking about this over. This is an important game versus two tough teams in the MAC. You're not on the over, which opens the door for us underbettors. Only 7% of the tickets, 53% of cash on the under. What do you think of this total?
It's going to see a lot of running from Northern Illinois. They don't play particularly fast. Bowling Green's offense has kind of sputtered a little bit the last couple of games, but they're also capable of quick strikes. The last two meetings, though, have flown over the total, oddly enough, here with Northern Illinois and Bowling Green. And keep in mind, last year was the same, quarterbacks, really, including Bazelak for Bowling Green. That game flew over the total. So I'm basically conflicted with the total. I don't have a strong lean over or under here.
Don't we feel like these two teams, I know the quarterbacks are the same, but they're both better teams than they were last year?
I think they're both better defensively. Bowling Green did have problems defensively last year still. I do think they're a better defensive team this year. Although that Old Dominion game bothers me, how they played on defense in that game. But, other than that, I do think they're a better defensive team this year. So, yeah, I think we could see this be it wouldn't shock me if this game stays under, put it that way.
I am interested in the under in that one. Let's review our guy Bobano's college football action. He is coming off a 10-6 week on our show. He went 10-6 plus 2.87 units and looking to have yet another successful week here. Let's review action. On tonight's card, he's on the over 60 at minus 108. Daby Cab moved on that on Tuesday, over 61.5 minus 110. And he's on Coastal Carolina plus 10 at minus 120. We stayed off Middle Tennessee La Tech, and I think I'm going to move on UTEP first half plus 10.5 and deal with the consequences that may arise. I'm going to need a little more time on that one. Bobano off that spot. Then Bobano's on the over 49 at minus 122 in South Carolina, Alabama. He's on Georgia Tech minus 4 at minus 110. He's on Army minus 25.5 and Army team total over 40.5. He's on the Cincinnati Bearcats. I'm very interested in joining him on the Bearcats. He's on Bearcats plus 3.5 minus 110. He's on Bowling Green money line at minus 133. And I lean towards NIU. Maybe I should stay off of it, but I'm with Wager Detective on the under. Billy Friedrich, though, liking Bowling Green, says Bowling Green runs away with this.
I don't know about runs away. And look, NIU might be better. NIU's impressed me at times this year, and Bowling, that's a great game. Like I say, NIU will prove, and maybe NIU is better than I thought. Coming into the year, I thought Bowling Green was better than NIU. I still think that. I need to be proven otherwise. This game will prove that.
Yeah. Maybe I can just focus on the under only. We'll see how it ends up banging out. And I know the Huskies are Jekyll and Hyde. Bobano, great work. You can catch Bobano here every Thursday on Betting with the Bag. You can catch him on the Ice Guys 7 days a week. And you can catch him on Hitting the Books every Monday on the Hitting the Books YouTube channel. Please support the Ice Guys and the Hitting the Books YouTube channel, where he caps the entire college football card alongside Connor Mack. Bobano, and support him on X at Bobano Bets. Remember, his X account got hacked last year, so we started the new one. It's a tough grind getting it rolling again to hit the heights that his last account was at. So please support him at Bobano Bets. Bobano, any last words for the Capper Sport in the show, my friend?
No, always fun being here on a Thursday. Enjoy the weekend. Good luck. Cash some tickets. You, Jimmy, as well. Everyone in the chat, hit the like button. Again, check out Hitting the Books every Monday. Me and Connor Mack, 1 p.m. Eastern. Ice Guys, 7 days a week, 2 p.m. Eastern weekdays, noon Eastern on weekends for NHL. And we'll be back here next Thursday. Looking forward to it.
I love it. There he is, Ian Cameron in the house. Well, we talked NHL. We have talked NFL. We have talked NCAA football. But we know what everybody wants to talk about, and why wouldn't they? Major League Baseball. What a playoffs we've had thus far. I've doubled up on both of these games. I can't wait to take a look at the market moves on them. And we have a tour de force rocking with us. Let's first welcome my co-host here on Betting with the Bag, the producer of our show, the star of Major League Baseball breakdowns here on Pub Sports Radio, coming to us from San Antonio, Texas, where we are playing a big part in the Alamo Card Show. For those of you in Texas and beyond, if you want to get a table, hit us up on that email account, the Alamo Card Show. We're going to have our own booth. Jose will be live from the Alamo Card Show. So anyone looking to get involved, please hit that email and support the Alamo Card Show. And welcome our next guest, coming to us from San Antonio, Texas, home of the Southtown 101, our friend, Mr. Jose Sweet Tea Tits Snips Bouquett. Oh, you look ready to go. You are locked in. Jeez.
Thank you,
Jose.
Thank you.
Wow.
I appreciate that. Thank you. This is a costume. Shout out to Brett the Hitman Hart. I've got good tits today. I've got great tits today.
God,
but it's nice to see you. No, you've seen my tits before. That you said they're yourself. They're not sloppy.
No, they were very disappointing. Much smaller than I expected as well. No. Pale vanilla, very pasty white too for a Venezuelan.
I don't see the sun. I don't see
tremendously disappointing were your tits. I couldn't have been softer seeing those tits, Jose. Please tell us why the outfit.
It's October. It's Halloween. Come on.
And
we're ready to go. I'm Bret Hart, Canadian, famous Canadian, top 5 Canadian.
Jesus Christ. All right.
Jim Candy, Bret Hart, Fergie Jenkins.
Jesus. All right. Well, welcome to the program. I'm very interested. Where's your record at now?
We're having a great time. We're having a great time over here. Up 4.9 units on the season. Slapping ass. It's just been dogs and unders for me, really. It's been funny. Monday, I have a great day. 3-0. We're slapping ass again on the sesh. Everyone's lapping it up. Easy bets. The next day, I go reverse sweep 0-2 because I am cocky fuck. And then yesterday, I had another great day, 2-1. I'm just riding the hot team. Sometimes you got to ride the baseball magic, and the Metropolitans and the Tigers have been those baseball magic teams that have been fun to ride.
The New York Mets. I mean, again, you can't buy character. You develop character, and that's what we're seeing from the Mets and from the Tigers. And excellent stuff. Let's bring on our next guest. We haven't seen him breaking down MLB here for a little while. It's nice to have him back. As you see, fought his way back to the black. Both of you have. I'm the lone one that's still languishing in the red. Yesterday, Royals first 3 and first 5 push. I just can't seem to take it to the next level. And I have not been cashing on the unders like all of you guys have as well. So I've been sitting on the fence. Please welcome from Dallas, Texas, star of Medicate Mondays. We have Dabra Cadabra here in the house. Dabby, how are you?
Man, good to be back. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. BJ, saw my guy Ski in the chat. Good to see you in there, Ski. Good, Doug Wise, everybody, man.
And Top Crocodile call him the snip shooter. The snip shooter.
That's my finishing move. Yeah, everyone knows the snip shooter.
Snip shooter.
Everyone knows about the snip shooter.
And to make us complete here, we have the star of the Odds Bunch YouTube channel, a capper who focuses on the pitcher, player props, and good God, back-to-back years of huge successes with his Mighty Black Book. Coming to us now from Tennessee. Please welcome our friend Sharpie to the show. Sharpie, how are you, my man? You're muted, I think.
I'm a little shown up, bro. You done my Macho Man impression. Just if you would have came in talking like Bret Hart, I would have gave you the credit. But as soon as you popped on screen, my last name's Sharp. I'm a big wrestling fan. I fucking love Bret Hart. And as soon as I was like, Bret fucking Hart. I knew about the glasses, bro, but I knew he wouldn't give them to you. He wouldn't give them to a guy like Jose. He just wouldn't do that. I love you, Jose. I love the outfit even more.
Thank you.
Let's get to work, fellas. We got 2 giant baseball games ahead of us. We start at 6:08 p.m. Eastern, the ALDS Game 4 with Detroit leading the series 2-1. Who would have thunk that we would be here? The Tigers 1 game away from the ALCS, but a mighty foe in their way. We've heard from Strategic Investments. The Chapiadora play of the day is the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland Guardians for our guy. And he's not the only one backing Cleveland Guardians. We have Billy Friedrich on the Guardians money line. BJ moving on the Guardians. So let's roll. We'll start with the weather in Detroit. 60 Fahrenheit, feels like 56. We'll get down to 51 after a couple of hours. 3.6 miles per hour in. The wind is not a problem, so it's not that cold. Guardians 42-39 on the road. They really benefited off a spectacular home record. And the Tigers were the opposite. They were great on the road this year, only 5 games over 500 at home. We have Tanner Bybee going up against Reese Olson. Let's get into the line history here for this one. The cash flow, and then send it over to our squad. We'll do our first one. We'll go Sharpie, Daby Cab, Jose, and then the next one will go Jose, Daby Cab, Sharpie. That's how we'll do it. Let's get into the line history here for this one. From a money line standpoint, Tanner Bybee and the Cleveland Guardians are at -120. They opened up at -119. There's been very little movement since Pinnacle opened this line up at 6:10 p.m. last night. So we've had a 1 cent move towards the Guardians. On the total, we are sitting here with a 6.5. It's -112 to the over. This opened up at 6.5, -117 to the over. This was always a 6.5 here at Pinnacle. So we've had 5 cents of movement towards the under. Get to the cash flow then for this one. 55% of the tickets and 84% of the cash is on the Cleveland Guardians. The line not moving towards them. We have 62% of tickets and 62% cash on the over. Nate Dogg 420 on Detroit money line. Justin McKelvey on the Guardians -121. We have Tanner Bybee. What a succinct, perfect breakdown from Sharpie in Bybee's last start. Bybee 12-8, 3.47 ERA, 1.12 WHIP throughout the regular season, through 173 and 2/3 with 187 strikes. Now he did allow 22 home runs, which was his Achilles heel. His last start was part of that 7-0 win at home versus the Tigers. Sharpie was on the Tigers team, total under 3.5. They didn't score a run. Bybee went 4 2/3 with 4 hits, 6 Ks, and 1 walk. Going up against Reese Olson. Reese Olson's last start was in that very game. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. It was a solo shot, 4 Ks, and 1 walk. He was great. We all cashed in that game. He pitched well. 3.53 ERA, 1.18 WHIP during the regular season. The Cleveland Guardians versus righties in September hit 231 with a 667 OPS. In the playoffs, it is the lowest numbers I've written down thus far this season. At one point, the Royals against lefties in September was the lowest numbers I'd written down, but this has beaten that badly. The Guardians against righties in the playoffs are hitting 106 with a 405 OPS. That's what they're doing against righties. Tigers in September were hitting pretty well. We saw most of the league really struggle offensively when the games became more important, but not the Tigers. They were hitting 250, 724 OPS, but in the playoffs, they have scuffled as well. 194 with a 585 OPS. We have the 2 best bullpens in baseball, although the Yankees have not allowed a run in the playoffs from their bullpen, but we have the 2 best bullpens in baseball. In September, the Guardians bullpen 1.31 ERA, 0.92 WHIP. In the playoffs, 2.18, 1.31. The Tigers bullpen was behind the Guardians in the September stats, 2.41 ERA, 0.99 WHIP. Still very, very good. In the playoffs, they've been so good. 1.86 ERA, 1.00 WHIP. Here we go. Sharpie, we start with you, but I should also let you guys know that I moved on unders. I'm on the first 5 under 3.5, -115. And then I decided to pay for the 7 full game. I wasn't going to. I had the 6.5 set to bet, but then I saw the price difference, and the price difference at 365 was, I got a -135 on the under a 7, which I found that's right at my limit. And I found that appealing to keep that push and play. Right now, if I wanted to move on the total at 7, it'd be -150. Okay, so I beat that by 15 cents. So I'm happy that I made that move. At Pinnacle, it was -141. And with the 6 cents of value at 365, I took the 7. Right now, the 7's -134. Wow. So while it's gone in opposite directions of the 2 books. That's fascinating. Take it away, Sharpie. The floor is yours, my man. Guardians, Tigers.
I actually, I've already didn't write no crazy ass breakdown for this, so you'll get a smaller breakdown. But I'm laughing. I didn't think I was gonna bet this game because I was like, oh, the team totals at 2.5. Whoop, whoop, whoop. But let's get straight to it. AJ Hinch has been the better manager so far 3 games throughout, guys. And Stephen Vogt, we're about to find out if his managerial decision in the first game is going to pay off. He let Bybee not go see the lineup 3 times through. That was obviously in his head the first time, knowing that he was going to have Bybee coming through to see this team again. Usually that means the reins are off for this man. We've got baseball weather. It's going to be, 50-something degrees? That's under weather right there, baby. I thought we were going to get Tanner Bybee's outs at like 14.5. I just been refreshing it. It's at 13.5. That's the way I'm going to move on this game. I expect them to ride Bybee 5-6 innings today. Yes, I know they are down in the series. Yes, I think this was a strategical plan. And I think Bybee goes at least 5 today. Now, I think Bybee's going to go out and do his damn thing personally. And we know what we're going to get from that bullpen. But how can you be on the Cleveland Guardians when they haven't scored a run in 21 innings now? It's been dead. And we've seen Cleveland throughout the years. When their bats go cold, their bats go fucking ice cold. This is not just some playoff random fucking thing, guys. Cleveland at times has gone months without hitting, and this is not the time. AJ Hinch has proven it. He is not going to let Ramirez beat him. He's not going to do it, guys. this guy so far showed yesterday as Montero is the reliever. No, I'm going to come out with Montero as the starter, make you throw out a righty lineup. After 6-pitch inning, I'm going to go to my lefty and make you go to your bench. So when I come to my bullpen and fire righties, you're fucked. And that's what I mean is AJ Hinch is out managing Stephen Vogt right here, just left and right each game. And I said it in the first game. I says, where it's coming down to the best closer, best bullpen in baseball versus the Detroit Tigers, who have the most comeback wins in the 9th inning. And I said, what are you going to do? Come back on Clase? Well, they fucking did that. What would Cleveland win if they win this game? Tarek Skubal on fucking normal rest. There's no win here, guys. AJ Hinch is going to go for the gut here, knowing he's got his ace out there. I wouldn't expect Reese Olson more than one time through the lineup today.
Wow. I love it. Bybee over 13.5 outs at what juice?
It's minus 110 right now.
Minus 110 for Sharpie. Bybee over 13.5 outs at minus 110. Head over to Daby Cab ALDS Game 4 Guardians at Tigers Comerica Park.
You know, it's funny. I really didn't have much interest in betting this game. I think Sharpie said the same thing, but we sit here and I break it down more and more. And the more I look at it, you know, I found a prop that's hard for me not to bet. And it's because of how bad Cleveland's been. It's because of how atrocious this offense has been at the plate. I mean, they've just been awful, but the one player that has been hitting has been Quan. And right now, because of how bad the Guardians have been, you can get Quan at over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at minus 120. Man, he's covered that 6 out of the last 8 games that he's played in. Even with how bad they've been here in the playoffs, he's covered that against Detroit 2 out of the 3 games. You know, he still had 3 hits yesterday. He's the only person doing anything. It's just a matter, do I trust anybody else to be on base or to get him home? And I don't know if I do. And so it's like, should I just take the plus money at over 1.5 total bases is really the thought. But I'm going to go ahead and take a shot with it here. Just give me the 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, Stephen Kwan at minus 120. I just think there's value on it because of how bad they've been.
It's interesting that the run and the RBI addition would make it minus 120 when they haven't scored a run in so long. I can understand why you were trying to figure out which route to take. Quan over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. When you're in a slump, hit like Quan. Slap the ball. Just get it out. Get it over the infield, basically. And that's what he does really well. We have player props from our first 2 cappers. Sharpie on Bybee over 13.5 outs. Daby Cab on Quan over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And now look who we have here as our final expert.
Dun 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 dun.
This is exactly what I needed. I mean, this is the most under game of the century. I mean, come on. This is under Palooza here. It's honestly my only bet of the day. Under. I'm taking full game. I'll gladly take the 6.5. And this is going to be a game where I'll be quietly betting. No run every inning. I'll start it in the first this time, and we'll just keep quietly rolling on. Those bets transparently, like when I did them last time, and it was in the series, they're like minus 200. I just put $15 to win like $10, $7, $5, whatever it ended up being. I just kept rolling it over and was having a great time. Ended up a full unit up. I'll probably end up doing that here. I just think this is an under game. I will admit, I kind of think the Guardians win this game, though. I kind of do think the Guardians find a way to win this game. And then, like Sharpie says, for their troubles, here's full rest to Reese Skubal, and Tigers win this series in 5. I mean, Jimmy, we talked about this series when it first opened, the series price. It was a shocking series price for the Tigers, and it made it seem like the Tigers were extremely live in this game. And the reason it seems like it's going to be Tariq Skubal. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Guardians won this game. I'm not going to move on a side. I'm just going to stick with the unders here. Under for me.
Tigers to win the series 3-2 is plus 230 at 365. Does that appeal to you?
If you're going to bet no run every inning, go for the little scores in between with tied after 3, tied after 5. Get the plus 2, 3, 400s in there if you're going to go for it.
That
That's a
makes
good way.
sense,
That's
yeah.
another good way. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think about Tigers to win 3-2 in the series, Jose, at plus 230?
I would much rather bet that than Cleveland Guardians money line today.
I get it. I get it. Wager Tech says, be careful with the under here. Both teams can get to 3 runs. The public is on the over, not huge like the other games, but 62 and 62. And you're seeing these pitchers a second time in a series, which we'll talk about in the next one. I'm comfortable with that. By the way, our guy, the Skunt Blaster, can get over 12.5 outs at minus 105 at Fanatics. So anyone else who can get that 12.5 at Fanatics, I would jump on that.
By the way,
as well.
I do not expect Reese Olson to start this game. I put Reese Olson because that's what's listed right now. BetOnline has him listed. I'd be a little surprised. I think it's going to be like Sharpie says, opener, make them flip their lineup, whatever may happen, and then Reese Olson comes in after again, or whoever it may be. This happened again yesterday. I forgot who it was yesterday. Then Kiter jumps in late, and Sharpie's 100% right.
Kiter threw 6-pitch inning.
Yeah.
Shut him down. And then Bob out the game. Here comes in the lefty. And I couldn't believe Vogt went to his bench so early. I was like, oh my God, when he brings in these power righties, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's just and this is obviously Vogt's first postseason. So I think we shouldn't be like too shocked that AJ Hinch, who's been in the postseason so many times, is just working them like this.
It's a
but
clinic.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
AJ Hinch has put on a clinic. I mean, he's it's just it's spectacular work.
I'm pretty sure they vote on manager of the year at the end of the regular season. So Vogt's gonna win that, but good lord.
He shouldn't.
AJ Hinch should
Even with the regular season, even with just you go 33 and 13 down the stretch, bring the Tigers into the playoffs with their weak sticks. Come on. I mean, just with their lack of payroll, I mean, with their no pickups at the trade deadline. I mean,
actively selling. I just think it's going to be closer than everyone expected. I think.
What is the juice on the under 6.5 that you got? Did you get even money?
No, I have -1. Well, BetOnline has -110 right now.
Okay.
And I'm personally kind of just waiting for my local to put it out. That's what I've been refreshing my book. So I'll take 6.5 -110 for show purposes right now. No problem. I'm almost certain that Reese Olson does not start this game, and my bet's going to get voided when that happens. So I kind of just am waiting to see like who they end up listing officially. So
when I moved on it, there was no pitcher, and it's still no pitcher listed. So Pinnacle doesn't list pitchers, but at 365 didn't have anyone for Detroit. So
yeah, and for whatever reason, BetOnline listing pitchers, but yeah, I don't trust it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hinch does what he did yesterday. Starts Olson. Olson's a righty or lefty? Righty. Starts Olson, gets a righty lineup out there, comes in with a lefty reliever for multiple innings to where they have to go to their right-handed bat or to their lefty power bats, and then it sets them up for the back end of the innings with his power right-handed arms because you lost your bench already. Vogt showed his card that he'll go to his bench.
If Vogt does that again, I don't know, man. You can't do that again.
You have to, though, bro. You have Noel is one of your better power bats versus a lefty with runners on, and you're having problems scoring. You had a chance with Noel and Ramirez to score a run, and it didn't happen. That you have to go to in those type of spots. And when they come, he's going to go to them. He's shown. If there's a runner on, he's going to go to his bench in those spots.
Our cappers have all moved on this game. I'm on the under 3.5 and the under 7. Sharpie's on Bybee over 13.5 outs. Daby Cab's on Quan over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And Jose is on the full game under 6.5. We roll into game 2. ALDS game 4. Yankees leading the series 2-1. Yankees were a great road team all season long, 19 games over 500. Showed it again with that Stanton bomb, and the Stanton double. I mean, he just looked locked in last night before the jack.
He's by far their best postseason performer in the last 3 postseasons. He's always the one that comes through for them.
Yeah, he's been very consistent. Royals 86 and 76, 45 and 36 at home. Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Let's get into the weather here for this one. 76 Fahrenheit. It's a nice night in Kansas City. 5.4 miles per hour right to left. Opens at 76, drop down to 71 by the end of the game. Slightly cooler than it feels. Nice temperature, nice and warm here. Let's get into the line history for this one. This total is back at an 8. This has been jumping around. Opened up at 7.5, got up to 8, went down to 7.5, and I got in at the 7.5 on the over. Now it's back up at 8. Overall, it's been a legit move to the over. This, when it opened at 10:28 p.m. last night, this was minus 111 to the under 7.5. So it's a legitimate move to the over 8. Now at 8. When we get to the money line here for this one, we have Waka Flocka at plus 130. Opened up at plus 135, 5 cents move towards Waka. I doubled on this one as well. I fired away at both of these games. You know, Garrett Cole and Michael Wacha have looked vulnerable, and they've looked vulnerable for a little while. I don't feel that way at all about Bybee and Olsen, and that's why I have a faith that Bybee and Olsen can have good starts or good performances in Olsen's perspective. With Wacha and Garrett Cole, I think they're both vulnerable. I think they are both vulnerable in this spot. Let's get into the cash flow here for this one. You have 67% of the tickets, 66% of the cash on the over. It's gone from 7.5 to 8 at Pinnacle. On the money line, you have 18% of the tickets and 39% of the cash on the Royals, which I get. I can understand people moving on this. Let's start with Garrett Cole, 8-5, 3.41 ERA, 1.13 whip, 95 innings, 99 Ks, 29 walks, 11 homers. In his last start, he went 5 innings, allowed 4 runs, 3 of which were earned in that 6-5 win at home over the Royals. 7 hits, just 4 Ks, 2 walks, allowed a jack. For Wacha, he struggled in that start as well. And I like Wacha. You know, 6-5 loss at the Yankees, 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 homer, 3 Ks, 3 walks. He was great this year. 3.35 ERA, 1.19 whip. Yankees versus righties in September, just 232, 689 OPS, and they're struggling here. You're getting nothing out of Judge. 186 average, but 649 OPS still. The Royals versus righties were hitting 219 with a 627 OPS in September, and in the playoffs, they're just hitting 212 with a 559 OPS. The superstar sticks, the best players on either team, are not hitting. Witt's not hitting, Judge not hitting. When we get to the bullpen, the Yankees have not allowed a run from their bullpen in the series. 0 ERA, 0.88 whip, and they weren't as good as the Royals down the stretch. In September, 3.67 ERA, 1.19 whip. For these Royals, 2.18 ERA, 1.31 whip in the playoffs. They've been very good, and they were very good in September. 2.77 ERA, 1.02 whip. We flip it around for this one. Jose Bouquett, you get us started. Yankees, Royals at Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah, I was on the Royals last game. You know, obviously Mike Stanton's home run hit me in the gut. I just, at the end of the day, it just doesn't feel like Michael Wacha is it right now. And I don't feel like I can trust him here. And I understand why he's being thrown. You know, very experienced postseason pitcher. Once upon a time was trying to beat the Red Sox on his own with the Cardinals in the World Series. But Garrett Cole is not a good postseason pitcher with the New York Yankees. The only teams he has pitched well against are the Cleveland Guardians. And we just talked about how the Cleveland Guardians can hit this postseason, and they don't hit well in the postseason historically. I mean, I was looking at his postseason starts. It's just gross. You know, 21, 2 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs against the Red Sox. He had 2 good starts against the Guardians, 5 innings, 5 runs, 3 of them earned against the Astros. We just talked about 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned against the Royals here. Sure, I expect him to bounce back. Do I want to be the guy that's on him? Not really. I leaned over in this, but I haven't bet an over in the postseason, and I don't want to start now, honestly. I'll continue betting the unders and dogs here. So I didn't have any action on this game. I was looking at it. I did look at a team total, and I have 4.5 even money. A 4 for the Yankees is semi-appealing with some juice there. But unfortunately, I think the Royals had their chance last game and blew it. And I think they lose here today, unfortunately.
So I got nice numbers. By the way, I found a pretty sweet time to get in. I got the over 7.5 at -115. That's at -130 now at 365 where I bet. I got all these at 365. And I got the first 5 over at -115. First 5 over 4 at -115. It's now -120. I think that Waka is somewhat vulnerable here. And I know that Sharpie's going to talk to us about Garrett Cole. I know you don't like Garrett Cole, Jose. What is your expectation for Garrett Cole's start here today?
I mean, here's the thing. If they're gonna let him, I think they'll let him go a little bit. So I was debating between 5-6 innings, 1 earned run probably for me. I just think he pitches well. I do have faith in an over here as well. That's why I'm not on the under. Obviously, if I had gun to head free $500 bet, make a bet on the total, it'd be over. We talked about the market in this game. And I'll just reiterate it here. 67% of the bets, 66% of the money on the over, gone from a 7.5 when, some places are starting to show 8s. So, I completely get it. And Garrett Cole, just not a reliable postseason pitcher, but it's not like the Royals are the most fearsome lineup. And I think he'll learn from some mistakes at home. And I think he just pitches better.
It's a warm, beautiful October night in Missouri. I think it sets up 4 runs, but I can understand your trepidation on overs at all. Let's move on to Daby Cab. Daby Cab, Yankees, Royals. Yankees 1 win away from the ALCS. Take it away.
I'm not scared to take it here. I took the over. I'm with you. I took the first 5 over 4. I got -115, but I didn't post it. So -120, if that's what it needs to be, it's no big deal.
I can find better. That was a 365, but keep going.
Okay, cool. Well, I was going to say, one thing that the Yankees have done such a good job in this series is seeing pitches. I can't stress enough how important it is to work the pitcher, especially, in a game like this, in a postseason game, to make them dig into their repertoire, to make them dig into their pitch count. They've got 20 walks in this series. I don't know if that speaks how, bad the Royals are pitching or how good the Yankees are, taking pitchers and working counts at the plate. But either way, 20 walks isn't going to work. And I think that, Waka has contributed to that. You see in his first game, he walked 3 people with only 3 strikeouts. So he's right there in the mix. I think he's vulnerable, like you guys have said. And Garrett Cole's not somebody that I hate on like Jose does. But, if he gives up 2 or 3 and goes 6 or 7 innings, that's great. And if Waka can give us up 3 or 4, we get there. So I'm good with that.
First 5 over 4, we can still get you -115 at Heritage, -118 at Bookmaker, -126 at Pinnacle. I feel quite good about where I stand, but I did fear that I was simplifying things a little too much with the first 5 under, full game under, and this one, first 5 over and full game over. That did scare me a bit. Sharpie, Yankees, Royals, Kauffman Stadium. Take it away.
Well, I'm not on an over. We have us a spot, guys, that I've talked about on this show before. A spot that is actually 1-1 this postseason, yet should be fucking 2-0. But Musgrove tore his elbow before he cashed for me. You can't cap an injury, but it is what it is. What I can cap is a team up in a series, who is the Yankees, and backing a fucking ace, who is Garrett Perez, a.k.a. Garrett Cole, as Perez is his fucking daddy. And he is the reigning Cy Young Award winner of last year. And he's coming off a bad start. And while listening to the game, guys, they said it. It seemed like the long break just was not good for Cole. Well, he's back on normal rest. And these are the words straight out of Aaron Boone's mouth. As great of a career as he's had, and he's had a great Yankees, and he's been a great Yankee, look back, and he's had a number of gut check moments of truth. And he's answered that, like, all the time. But the biggest thing right now is I feel like he's throwing the ball incredibly well. He's throwing the ball like our ace. Now it's closeout time, guys. We've got a pissed off Cole, pissed on his performance. And this year, when he's gotten touched up, giving up 3 runs or more, which has happened 5 times, his next game has been a shutdown performance with a 1.5 ERA in those 5 games. So we have history showing us, guys, backing this guy off of a bad game is real. Now, there is a fuck ton of past history in this projected lineup. And it actually doesn't favor fucking Garrett Cole. Salvador Perez is his daddy. If you want to bet a hitting prop today, bet him. Now, if he rib checks him the very first or second pitch, Garrett Cole understands wasting pitches on that guy is a waste of fucking time. I'm just going to hit him, and I'm going to attack that. Then you know Garrett Cole. If he tries to pitch to him, if people are on base, nah. I get it giving up a solo shot, but expect him to get rib checked if there's someone on base, guys, or straight walked. Don't expect Perez to see an at-bat with runners in scoring position. So I was actually looking at Cole's outs. But these fucking books, man, 17.5?
Wow.
Ooh, they are sharp. That, to me, guys, right there is this guy has to have a great game to go 6 innings. And if you want to look at his past 15 games in the postseason, he's actually 11-4 to the over. Yet, 2-4 to the over his last 6 outings. So when facing a team with the metrics as the Royals this year, he has pitched well, just not deep. Metrics meaning top 5 in the league in zone contact, top 5 in the league in chase contact. And he went out there and shoved guys, as these guys, the Royals, they're just a miniature Padres team without the names or the big boppers. Their metrics are pretty much damn near the same. And I pushed out guys on backing Schmidt's outs over yesterday, but I knew beforehand it seemed the spot, guys, as that guy pitches to contact. And if you try to pitch to contact versus this team, you'll do just well. It's when you try to overpower them, they understand how to go opposite field. They understand 98 oppo, 98 just shorten up, go. So I expect a lot of inside pitches, a lot of jam shots. I expect Cole to come out and shove. Now, I cannot take his outs. When I looked at the other teams like the Royals this year, he's played 4 teams. Blue Jays 2 times, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 6 punch outs. Then 5.2 innings, 2 earned runs with 4 punch outs. Then he faced Cleveland, 6 innings, 0 earned runs, 2 strikeouts. And the Nationals, where he gave up 3 runs in 5 innings, but had 7. So 3 of the 4 games in the regular season versus teams like the Royals, who are top 5 in zone contact, chase contact, he didn't go 6 innings. And for that reason, guys, I'm not betting his outs. A good capper, in my eyes, don't just bet things he knows or bets things that's been good to him. He sees where he can lose and says, okay, how else can I get in, guys? Now, if he's humming, Aaron Boone's going to leave him out there. That will happen. But I see 5 to 6 innings, 2 earned run baseball or less from Garrett Cole today. Now, he's actually 2-3 to the over 4.5 strikeouts versus team like the Royals this year. So I wouldn't be looking to bet his strikeouts versus these zone contact, chase contact type teams like the Royals. But what I do want to bet, guys, is Cole on a bounce back. Cole's ERA versus those teams, though he didn't go 6, was 2.55. His ERA on a bounce back is a 1.58, and you've said it multiple times already, Jimmy. The Yankees bullpen hasn't allowed a fucking run. I'm on the same fucking bet as I was on last time. Give me the Royals team total under 3.5, minus 130. I think it's gone down 2 cents, but that's where I got in at. And I expect 6 innings, 5-6 innings from Cole, 2 earned runs, and hand it over to that bullpen.
Did you think of tying that up with the Tigers team total under?
No, because I believe that's a 2.5.
Oh, geez. Okay.
When it's a 6.5 and they're favored, it's going to be a 2.5.
Okay.
So I'd rather see if Bibee gets popped in the first or second and then grab a 3.5.
Royals team total under 3.5 at minus 130. Team total under 3.5 at minus 130 for Sharpie. Daby Cab on the first 5 over 4 at minus 115. I'm on the first 5 over 4 at minus 115 and the full game over 7.5 at minus 115. And Jose Bouquett is staying off of this one.
Yep.
At this point. There you have it. That was a lot of fun, gentlemen. Excellent work. Bankroll Spence giving us a final score of 2-1. Billy Friedrichsen with the pig milk play today. Devil's puck line. A Devil's puck line at minus 1.5 at plus 180. And pig milk play day is up 17.9 units over 93 bets. So we'll copy and paste that there. Thank you for sharing that. We are ready to move on to the WNBA Finals here in this one. But great job all around. Sharpie, Odds Bunch YouTube channel. When are you going to be back on your spot?
I don't know. I just randomly pop on there and do a live stream till I lose my bet and I get pissed and leave, or I win my bet and I fucking cheer and I'm happy. But I don't get paid, so I can fucking hit the end live stream whenever the fuck I want. And yeah, hopefully, I ain't hitting no end of live streams lately, but hopefully. Yeah, man, baseball's been good. Let's just keep it rolling. And yeah, fuck. You know what the Yankees get if they lose today? Cole motherfucking Ragans. They don't want that. It's if you think the Royals win today, guys, just bet them to win the series because you got Ragans coming versus Rodon, and Rodon shot his wad, bro, so hard in the first inning, just got all jacked up, juiced out, started screaming. And then he couldn't hold up with that energy, guys. That fucker fucking crashed in the third.
Oh, he's a mess. He's a fucking mess out there.
Boone talked about it afterwards. He fucking went ape shit screaming after every strikeout. And then he crashed, bro. You can't keep up that energy, bro. You've got to stay calm and collected. But you've got guys like Rodon, guys like Cease. They've never been in spots where they needed to fucking win. They've been on shitty fucking teams for the most part. So it's like
the Tigers to win the series 3-2, the Royals to win the series 3-2 parlayed together 16.3 to 1. 16.3.
Something tells me Tigers win the day, bro, and get Scooble 2, maybe 3 games in the next series. And oh fuck if that happens.
Bo Jackson saying Waka 2-0 at home in the postseason this year. Wager Detective saying Royals are 4-6 versus this year's playoff teams when Waka starts. Excellent work, Sharpie. Please support our guy Sharpie on X at Sharpie Bets as well. Daby Cab, what's going on for the tailgate on Saturday? And please join us again tomorrow for MLB and for college football. I know you want to add more college football legit spots that we break down here on the show. So please do that. What's going on for the tailgate and what's the big live stream this week?
Tailgate, man, it's another positive week. I don't have numbers in front of me, but anybody that's been tuning in, all of the cappers, and I just got to shout out those guys, all of the cappers that have been coming on, even the cappers that have came on, quote unquote, from the chat, which I want to bring more of you guys on. So maybe Billy or Joseph or Wager Detective, Justin, you need to hop on with us. Any of you guys, if you want to get on the tailgate on Saturday and give out a best bet, just DM me because I want to bring you on. We've been killing it, Jimmy. It's been a blast. And I've never done a show where I have like an hour and a half, an hour, 45 minutes, and it feels like the time is over like that. Like it goes so quick because all we're doing is just, mashing it, moving best bets and moving along. So tune in Saturday. I'll be here with you tomorrow, Jimmy, Jose. I love you guys. Chat. Thank you. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
There he is. Please support our guy on X at Daby Cab. Jose Sweet Tea Tits Snips Bouquet. Let's get that cash here in the Tigers game. Get us started, get us rolling into the late game here as well. Are you busy tonight or can you hang out with us a bit on our live stream Niners Seahawks?
Nope. Unfortunately, I'm doing a show tonight that I was supposed to do on Monday. So it's going to be a fun time with that. But do not forget, we have the Cappers Contest show right after this program here.
55 minutes, yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a pretty good record, right? Well, it's okay record right now. So let's go out and get after it, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I love it. We'll see you here shortly, Jose, as we are racing camels. I only want camel. I know we're getting to the Breeders' Cup, but I'm just fixated on these camel races. $50 camel race coming up here. By the way, our friend Ron Crawford, he won the $200. It led up to $200 in our last race, and it's going to a very good cause here. I've got it here. I'd like to, I would just like to mention it just for our friend Ron Crawford, because I know that our guys were giving it back or kept, putting it back in. But Ron Crawford is using the 200 for a very, very good cause. And let me just mention the good cause before we get into our WNBA Finals. This is, oh God, where is it? I might have it on the Twitter, actually. I might have it on Twitter. but it's a very, very important cause. You know what? I'll look for it while we're capping WNBA because it's an important cause that Iran is putting that $200 American to. Let's roll into our next spot. It's a big one. Our final game that we will be capping here on the show before we get into our Camel Race. We have the WNBA Finals Game 1 at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. And we have just the capper for the job, one of the stars of the Locker Room podcast and a huge part of our programming here on Pub Sports Radio. He rocks with me on our live streams and crushes it. Just a huge asset to the squad. Please welcome from South Jersey, our guy Billy Brisbane to the show. Brizzy, what's good, man? How are you?
What's up? Nice little Thursday. The weekend just starts tonight, right? The weekend always begins on Thursday. That's what I learned in college.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited about our live stream tonight. I mean, it doesn't get better than this for us, for me, Seahawks, 49ers. I'm very, very, very excited to rock here with you guys. And I would like to pull up our guy, Ron Crawford's, what the cause was. Is it right here, I believe? Is it here? No, it's not. Okay. Oh, wait, maybe it is. Okay, I will get the cause here because it's important. But let's get to work, my man. We also get started with Justin McKelvey. Our guy, Justin's stack play of the day is in, and it is the Liberty -6 at -113 for our guy.
Stacks, 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 stacks.
Let's get into the line history here for Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. Lynx Liberty is how we close up shop. We'll use Bet Online here. Anybody looking for a new account on Bet Online or a new account can go to Bet Online. Use it. Do it through our website. If you hit our link and use the promo code Pub Sports, they will give you 100% bonus up to $1,000, and it doesn't have to be Bitcoin. New York Liberty right now opened up at -6 at -110. Got to 6.5 an hour ago, but back at 6 again. We still have had 7 cents of movement towards the Liberty. For a total, we are sitting here at a 159.5 at -110. Opened up at 159.5, dropped down to 159, and then got back up to 159.5. When we get to the cash flow for this one, we hopefully will get the information, and let's see how much we get. We don't get money, but we get tickets. 55% of the tickets are on the Liberty at -6, and 89% of the tickets are on the over at 160.5. The Lynx took care of the Connecticut Sun. It was an impressive performance, 3-2. The Liberty beat up on the Las Vegas Aces, the defending champion. Beat them soundly, 3-1. Took them out by 14 in Las Vegas to get an opportunity here in the WNBA Finals. Brizzy, in situations like this, generally we think it's going to be a tighter basketball game. So much on the line, so many eyes on them, defensive intensity. And I look to get to bet an under, but it's Game 1 of the series. And I would like to hear your analysis before I do anything on this. Now, Pipe Player is on the over 159.5. Financially Free and Focus is on the over 159. Dougie Wise on the other side with the Lynx here. Take it away for us, Brizzy. Lynx Liberty Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. And also excellent work this year, Brizzy. I know that we didn't have WNBA programming in the first couple weeks, and that was a mistake. Won't happen again. And excellent work breaking it all down for us. So take it away. Lynx Liberty, Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm not looking past the Liberty in this championship series. They're fresh off of avenging last season's finals loss to Las Vegas. Out of the last 19 postseason appearances, 5 final trips, they're just a few wins away from winning their first title in franchise history. Situationally comparing advantages, I do kind of give the Lynx the edge in coaching. I mean, Coach Reeves, 4 titles in Minnesota. Their Lynx had the regular season record and the Commissioner Cup record over the Liberty. They're the only team to beat the Liberty twice this season, but I feel like that gives them kind of like unwarranted confidence heading into this game, while the Liberty had been waiting for the Lynx while they went through a grueling series versus Connecticut, where they were just able to execute offense better. This is a completely different matchup, as the Liberty have the same amount of playmakers and more reliable scoring. A lot of the defensive rotations I feel like that Minnesota was getting away with in the last series is going to come to bite them tonight. For as good as a regular season defensive team as the Lynx were, it hasn't really translated to the playoffs. In the Phoenix series, they allowed Phoenix to score 88 points and 95 points. Connecticut was hovering around 80 points per game at the end of that series. In the last meeting between these two teams, Stewie posted a career high, not a career high, a season high, 38 points, 18 rebounds, but the Lynx were not able to, the Liberty weren't able to overcome a first quarter slow start. The Lynx defense just has not looked that good in the last couple of weeks. I honestly think this might be a Liberty 11-plus win margin win. I don't think they're going to be able to contain Stewie, and that doesn't really give me confidence to back Minnesota here. I feel like a lot of the edge in the last series was the bench unit. They put up 3 times as more points in the Connecticut bench unit. Players like Xander Lucini, she missed the first couple of games of the series. She ended up coming back. All the games that she played in, all those games went over. Hines Allen, she was kind of the main staple for the Mystics throughout the whole entire season. She was huge in that series. Natasha Heiderman, she played for Connecticut some last year. She stepped up big. Remember when the live stream, she hit that half-court buzzer beater people were talking about in the chat. All of them stepped up, but all of them are defensive liabilities, in my opinion. For this series, anything can happen. But in game one, I think a rusted, hungry Liberty team is just a spot, and I'll just live with the results. To add on to this a little bit, for the Olympics, Sandy's the coach of the Australia team, and she got blown the fuck out by Cheryl Reeves in that semifinals in the Paris Olympics, 85-64. I know she's been waiting for this matchup for a while. Prop wise, I like Brianna Stewart, 10 plus rebounds, minus 138, double. Brianna Stewart and the Liberty to win, plus 142. Stewie has had 10 plus rebounds in 5 straight meetings versus the Lynx. In the elimination game versus the Aces, she had 14 rebounds in that game. I feel like she just understands the situation. She sees plenty of volume, minutes, and opportunities, especially in game one. Looking at it for the season, the Lynx give up the second most rebounds to opposing forwards this season. And looking at Stewie's numbers versus Minnesota, 11, 17, 18, 81% of her rebounds are on the defensive end. I really like Stewie's double prop and her rebound prop. I think some money's going to come in on Apisha Collier because of her performances in the last month. But the bonus play I like here is Lonnie Fibich over 7.5 points. I think that's been the biggest X factor for the Liberty's playoff run, has been the addition of Fibich in the lineup. She just impacts the floor offensively and defensively without the ball in her hand, which is perfect for the makeup of this roster. She's hit a crucial number of baskets and open 3-pointers. She has a +7 plus-minus rating on average. She's 7 points better than her opponent when she's on the floor. For the Liberty, a lot of the attention of this rookie year class has gone to the top 10 picks like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, Alicia Edwards. But I feel like Fibich has been one of the most impactful players on a roster this year. She finished second in six-man player of the year voting. Her 3-point shooting in the regular season was ridiculous. She had 43% from the 3-point line, which was the best mark of any rookie in the 27 years of the WNBA. In the playoffs, she's been averaging 59.1% from the 3-point line in 6 playoff games, obviously leading the team in that category. She isn't really a regular rookie. She's one of those international players. She's played for 7 different German teams, multiple championship runs, several MVPs. She's a really good player. Becky's quotes from the last series was so funny. She was saying, New York, they got better. They went and got Fibich. They're gigantic. They're huge, and they didn't lose shooting. I love Fibich. I'm a huge fan of her length. She's got an incredible feel for guarding distance. She's close enough where you can't shoot, but far enough where you can't drive by her. So if you're going to play defense, that's the easiest way to get minutes. I think she goes over her 3-point prop of 1.5. So I had to take the 7.5 points for Fibich.
Over 7.5 points for Leonie Fibich. At what juice?
Minus 114.
Minus 114. What was the over 10.5 rebounds?
Just 10, basically over 9.5 rebounds was minus 138.
Over 9.5 rebounds.
Sitting at minus 150. It's basically the same exact thing. But I took her double and the Liberty
at
plus
plus
142.
142.
Yeah, my first look when I first thought I was going to look into this series, I was thinking about betting the under. I was pretty lock set on betting the under. And then I really started looking into the matchups and stuff like that. Yeah, I think the problem that I have with betting the under is the Lynx played the fucking Connecticut Sun. And Alyssa Thomas, as great as she is and all that, her shoulder is completely destroyed. She can't shoot the ball from 18 feet plus out, and not everybody else on the team can shoot threes. Marina Mabrey is a huge defensive liability, and a lot of the shit that the Lynx were doing in that series, they got away with a lot of stuff that they're not going to get away with on the Liberty. Everybody on the team can hit an outside shot. Everybody on the team can make the extra pass. Everybody on the team can drive the lane. And if that's the case, they just might get ran off the floor here in this spot, because that Connecticut series was such a grueling series. I mean, you could see the clips all over social media of Kayla McBride shoving Marina Mabrey after game one, the whole entire game, saying, "You go to know today, you go to know today." I think a little bit of the Lynx, they could be live for the series, but for game one, I don't know, man. New York is just a little bit like sitting back, waiting for this one. Friday night, I talked about this on the Sunday night stream. Friday night, the game that they played at Las Vegas, game 3, they got smoked. And Floyd Money Mayweather, Shador Sanders is sitting courtside. You had the owner sitting courtside. And you can just see the saltiness on Stewie's face. Like, wait until Sunday, motherfuckers. We're going to blow y'all out. And when I saw that line come out for the Liberty, this is probably one of the only teams in the WNBA that you really don't get a chance to bet on because of how big their spreads are. Like, I probably bet on the Liberty maybe like 2 or 3 times this season. When I saw that line come out at plus 3.5 and plus 130 on Sunday, it was throw every NFL game out the window real quick. I need to bet this. This is an immediate bet. And they smoked them. And like, I could just see it in Stewie's eyes. Like, they're not playing. They're really trying to win the chip. It's crazy to think that this team's been to the playoffs 19 times in 5 final trips, and they still have not won a championship. Stewie was the X piece that they needed a couple years ago. Then now Lonnie Fibich is that rookie piece that they needed. As AOD says in the chat, as much as I want to bet the under, but it could just be Liberty, Liberty, Liberty. I think they're going to smoke them in this one, and then I'm probably going to bet the Lynx in game 2.
What do you think? Is it too expensive, the minus 155 at 365 for Liberty to win game 1 in the series?
No, because I think however game 2 and game 3 and game 4 go, when they come back for game 5, the Lynx are getting smoked.
Interesting. I think I might move on to game 1 and the series. Is there I remember when Vegas and Florida met in the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years ago, it was clear that Vegas was just all business. They were all business. That the nucleus had watched the Capitals win the Stanley Cup, the 6 or 7 of them, a few years before, and it was just they were all business. And one of the stars was his older brother. Due to concussions, had to quit playing hockey at 23 years old and was living through them. And like it just knew it was happening. And Florida was so excited to be there. They were so excited to be in the finals. You could just say they couldn't believe it. We're in the finals, man. We're in the finals. Is there a similar thing here with the Lynx so excited to be in the finals and Liberty knowing that this is business? We watched Vegas win last year in front of us, and this is all business. We got to take care of business here. Is there a similar feeling in this series?
No, not at all. Cheryl Reeves is the best coach in the WNBA. She was coach of Team USA. She is one of the most experienced coaches. She's like the Greg Popovich of the WNBA. She knows what's up. She definitely the players on the team, yeah. The players on the team, they definitely are a little bit hyped. And like what that situation of you just said, yeah, the players on the court, yeah. Cheryl Reeves specifically, nah, she's locked in. She knows what the fuck she's doing.
That was the exact same thing with Florida because they had Paul Maurice, who was, completely, he needed the cup win so badly for his resume because he's second winningest coach in NHL history. He would never won a Stanley Cup. But the players were like, I can't believe we're here. This is
Yeah,
incredible.
but I really think the Olympics really plays a part into this. Of that semifinals game was a complete embarrassment for Australia. Going into the Olympics, everybody thought Australia was like the team to compete with Team USA. Da, 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 da. They got fucking smoked off the court. It was so bad. Like, you could just see the saltiness in Sandy Baralo's face of like, yo, I can't wait to go back to the crib. Like, I just don't have the right players for this team. And she was just getting beat down by the Americans. And now she has those players on the team. Like, I feel like if there's ever players on the team that probably know Cheryl Reeves' system, it's probably Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. While as much as I love Brianna Stewart in this specific game matchup, there is a little bit of, I think the most value is in the reward markets. Like, I don't think there's that much value in betting like who to win the series, because I think it's pretty easy to cherry pick which games are going to go to which teams. Like, I think game 3 is pretty clearly a Minnesota spot. So like, I feel more confident in cherry picking my spots in this series with the home court advantages for both teams, rather than betting a full game series. But I definitely do think there's value in the MVP final series. Like, you probably hear this a lot when people talk about the WNBA finals. It's way different from the NBA finals. Of like, the NBA finals, like, besides Jason Tatum losing it to Jaylen Brown this year and Andre Iguodala, but like, you kind of know just like who the finals MVP is going to go to on the winning team. I feel like in this specific finals, there's definitely like Brianna Stewart's the one, but Sabrina Ionescu's definitely been a girl that they've been trying to push for the WNBA for a while now. Like, remember when she won the 3-point contest the year before Caitlin Clark came in? They had her and Curry go at it, and like, she was like in the middle of the all season and like the NBA All-Star weekend. So like, that's definitely a player that they've been pushing. And like, as much as like Brianna's, like, they did the Brianna Stewart thing before, I feel like Ionescu plus 230 finals MVP is a little bit of value. I would say Jacquel Jones, but I mean, I feel like if you're going to go that deep on the board, I would take a shot at one of the Minnesota Lynx girls. Napisha Collier sitting at plus 250. Kayla McBride, 33-1. Courtney Williams can always like damn near average triple double. She's 33-1 for WNBA Finals MVP. Like, that's the way I would kind of attack it a little bit. Of like, who's the series specials are kind of good as well. Like, series leaders for 3-pointers made. Bridget Carleton is smoking on every. If you look at any WNBA 3-point thing for percentages and things, Bridget Carleton's smoking this year, and she smoked the Liberty in that Commissioner Cup game. She had like 8 threes. Her to lead the finals series in 3-pointers made plus 240. Lonnie Phoebus, who I just talked about with all those open shots, she's 11-1. There's a lot of good stuff, I feel like, in the series leaders. Rebound leaders, I would look at Jacquel Jones, plus 200. Stewie's at plus 170. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in like the actual specific series markets rather than the actual like team winning the championship. The player prop market is a little bit not nerfed. Like, how are you going to say Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu are plus 120 and plus 230, $1 difference apart from winning the finals MVP? Like, what? If Stewie has a good game, it's probably because of Ionescu.
I've put my plan together here on this one. I'm going to take Liberty game 1 in the series. I'm also going to move on the first quarter under 41 at minus 115. I think that there will not nerves necessarily. It's not nerves. I think it's possible that with all the eyes on them, that while there'll be heightened defensive intensity, one team may get off to a slow start, and that first 10 minutes of the...
I feel more confident in betting the Lynx team total first quarter under than fading the Liberty in the first quarter. The Liberty were the best first quarter team in the WNBA by a wide margin.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm gonna stick with this. Last time you told me to do that, you were absolutely right, and I lost. But
I'm just saying, like, I would be mad as fuck if you capped the shit correctly, and then like the Liberty just put up so many points in the first quarter that the shit just ended up going over on some bullshit, and the game looks like a pure under, and the Lynx don't score anything, and like your cap was completely correct. Like those are the most frustrating bets to make. I feel like as a sports bettor is when you have the correct cap, but then the game plays out, and then you see it play out, and you're like, damn. The Lynx just put up fucking 12 points in the first quarter. I could have just had their team total under.
no, I feel you. It's 19.5, but the Lynx are playing with House's money here. The Lynx do not have the pressure on them.
Money, but I'm telling you, rewatching some of those games in that series, they are not getting away. When your best player can't shoot the ball from 18 feet out and they have to get shoulder reconstruction surgery for at least 6 months of the season, and that's your star player shooting the ball, that is going to be a complete culture shock change when everybody on the court can shoot, drive, and dribble. Like, that's just going to be like, I just don't think the Lynx handle that well. The only way I think the Lynx win this game is if the Liberty just don't shoot well. And that's just basketball. I think it was game 3 or 4 of the Dallas Mavericks and the Celtics series. And we're saying on stream, like, the only way the Mavericks are winning any of these games is the Celtics just flat out just don't hit a shot. And what happened to the Celtics just flat out just didn't hit a shot. But I also do think whatever happens in the first game, I'm probably going to bet the exact opposite on the second game. Like usually a lot of these times, these totals and numbers get inflated based off of public perception in game one. And I definitely think 159 is like, that's a sharp ass number. Like their regular season meetings were like low 160s, 163, 164s, 159. Yo, one bad quarter, one hot Bridget Carlton quarter, one Phoebich, couple threes. You're gonna be sitting you're gonna be pulling up the book on your phone, like, yo, how the fuck do I get my money back? Like, that's the reason why I didn't want to bet the under on this one. I definitely think the under makes sense in theory, but a lot of these times, I feel like the WNBA with the sports books, they have no idea what to expect in these WNBA games, and they're blowing these spreads and totals by like 20, 30 points. Like the game that we talked about on Friday of the first game back at Mohegan, they put that total at 150.5. The total game finished at like 190, 180. The shit smoked by like the third quarter. Like it was ridiculous. Like that's how off they are in the WNBA markets. Like this is the only, I feel like, sport that the public probably has more of an advantage than the books, because the books don't know what the fuck they're doing with the WNBA.
Locked and loaded for the WNBA Finals. We have Brizzy on Brianna Stewart over 9.5 rebounds at -138. Brianna Stewart double, and Liberty money line at +142, and Leonie Phoebich over 7.5 points at -114. Stacks play today from Justin McKelvey's Liberty -6 at -113. I'm going to be on Liberty game 1 in the series at -155, and the first quarter under 41 at -115. Brizzy, excellent work. Check out the Locker Room podcast. It's our main video on our home YouTube page. Already 3,000 views as we roll into Saturday's event. Thank you for rocking with us, and great job on the podcast. It's just crushing, and you guys deserve all the love that you guys are getting for it. And Brizzy rocking with us tonight on the live stream for 49ers Seahawks.
You already know, man. We had a nice little Jackson Smith Najigba primetime game last time. I think we're gonna have to switch it up on the other side tonight. Find out which
I'm
player.
excited about rocking stuff. We are in business, Brizzy, my man. Thank you for rocking on. Please support Brizzy on X at getting_bills_. It's time to race. We have a $50 Camel Race for our gold members, our PSR Gold members. And we've got the Cappers contest in 30 minutes. So we got to move quickly here. We're running them all, the camels, in one race. Jose, 1 minute for all the camels. How many gold members do we have in Pub Sports Radio?
82. Shout out to you, Barry Roselle, and Financially Free and Focused, our 2 latest members. Shout out to both of you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Here we go. $50 on the line. Jose will call the first 30 seconds. I'll close it out. Good luck to all the camels out there.
Good luck to them all. We're off and racing. They're feeling
Wow.
good today, Pete.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not used to that.
Oh my God. This is ridiculous.
Usually they're all within a few lengths of each other, but not here.
BT firing out there. Jay Peasy, Nuke Worker, Gerald Jones, all in the mix here. Juan Ruiz
looking for his 4th victory.
And he's out there in the lead right now. 35 seconds left. The Camels are feeling good today. Jimmy, the Sporting Kings.
I don't know if camel racing is Sporting Kings. JPZ trying to stay up, but there's Justin McKelvey. Justin McKelvey moving to the front alongside Dabra Kadabra. Big Show Picks trying to get involved. Nutflush Allen moving backwards. George Wood moving backwards. Voodoo Ranger and Kent Davies up front. Voodoo Ranger trying to come home with it, trying to get to the wire, and here comes Juan Chavez. Juan Chavez moving beautifully here down the stretch, trying to get him up. Here comes Helga. Helga making a huge move, but no, sirree, Bob, and Juan Chavez. $50 richer. Our friend Ron Chavez. Ron Crawford, fresh off that $200 cash last out. Fresh off that is second place. Kelly McInnes starting to deliver here in third. Shout out to Juan Chavez. And I don't know what I did with the information I have for where Ron Crawford is putting. There's a fundraiser that he's putting the 202 towards, and I don't know why I don't have it. I'll get it. I'll make sure that I have it. I don't know how I've lost it here, but I don't have it, and I'll get it. But shout out to Juan Chavez, $50 richer. Jose, let's quickly review all action and then roll into our big cappers contest show. We have Viper NB on Cole over 4.5 Ks. Red Wings money line and Sabres money line. 9 Legacy, Ottawa Senators money line, Minnesota Lynx plus 6.5 Yankees money line. Kong's Clip smash play of the week is Themba Garimbo and Tatsuro Taira parlay at minus 109. Grant Clarkson on the over in the Islanders game. Kelly McInnes is on Panthers, Kings, Bruins, Devils all minus 1.5 for his play of the day. Lunch Break Chronicles on James Madison minus 9. We just heard from our guy, the Clark Edge, that there has been a huge move towards Coastal Carolina, now -7 or now plus 7.5 Coastal Carolina. BJ's best bet in baseball, Guardians money line, best bet in football, 49ers money line. I have 3 bets in NHL, but I'm adding now. I will be adding. What I moved on before I came to the show was Bruins on the puck line minus 103, Islanders minus 1 at plus 110, Sharks first period at plus 127. And Bobano is on the Sabres. I'm going to be adding the Panthers and the under 6.5 in Panthers Senators. Leafs Devils, we have no action. I'm also going to bet Islanders to make the playoffs. Wonder what action I can get in before our show starts. At least not the future on the playoffs, but Bobano's on the over 5.5 in Utah, New York Islanders. I'm on Islanders minus 1, as I mentioned. Bobano's on the Red Wings team total over 3.5 plus 108 and the over 6.5 at plus 106 in Pittsburgh, Detroit. Bobano's on Nashville over 6. And the Jackets at plus 232. Oh, I guess so. The only spots I'm adding is the Florida game. Ron Crawford, NHL play today is the Blues, and Bobano on the Sharks team total over 2.5, and I'm on the Sharks first period. A Dougie Wise SGP tonight. Metcalf 56 or more receiving yards. Purdy 1 or more passing touchdowns. Leonard Williams under a half sack. And San Francisco to win at plus 245. Scuntbag play today is Seahawks plus 3.5 minus 105 and 21-12 on Charbonnet over 13.5 receiving yards. Bobano's on the over 48 in the football game. I think it's gone down to a number that I can move on. I think moving in the middle of the show really bothered me. But it's still a 49 at 365. I don't know why they're waiting.
Joel Hofer in net for the Blues.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Well, I'm not sure what Hofer's going to do, but Binnington got off to an okay start. I'm not entirely, I can't sit here and say, oh, Hofer's going to get lit up. I'm not sure, but I'm comfortable with the Sharks first period. And I'd like to move on the 49ers first half as well and expect to possibly live bet against them. Justin McKelvey stacks play day number 2, DK Metcalf over 69.5 receiving yards, and that's at plus 117. Then in college football, Daby on the over 61.5 in Coastal, James Madison, Bobano on the over 60 and the plus 10. Then I'm interested in UTEP first half plus 10.5. I won't bet that right after this show. I don't think the line's moving towards them. I think I could get a better number if I wait. Bobano on the over 49 minus 122 in South Carolina, Alabama. He's on Georgia Tech minus 4. He's on Army minus 25.5. Army team total over 49. Cincinnati plus 3.5. I'd like to join him on that. And he's on Bowling Green money line. I lean towards these Northern Illinois Huskies, but maybe I should just stay off and only bet the under. I'll make that decision. And in baseball, Gerald Jones, play of the day is Tigers Cleveland. First 5 under 4 at minus 140. Sharpie's on Bybee over 13.5 outs. Cabby's on Quan over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And Jose's on the full game under 6.5. I'm on the first 5 under 3.5, full game under 7. Got decent lines on both. Billy Friedrich, Pig Milk play today. Devils puck line minus 1.5 plus 180. Daby Cab's on the first 5 over 4 in Yankees Royals. Sharpie's on Royals team total under 3.5. And I'm on the first 5 over 4 and the full game over 7.5. And we've already reviewed WNBA action. That is our show for today. Jose Bouquett. I will see you in 24 minutes, Jose, in our Cappers contest show. And shout out to all the Cappers rocking with us. Billy Friedrich, Justin McKelvey, Nasty Nate, Kelly McKinnis, Mally Mal, Class Trash Tuber in the house. Thank you for rocking with us. AOD, the Clark Edge, Lamont Williams, Rem Most, Joseph Alvarado, Gorky, thank you. Ken Mizrahi, Markel, thank you guys. Wager, Detective, Financially Free and Focused, Nate Dogg 420, Pipe Player, Kongs, Clips, Core Clan, all of you guys, thank you. Jerry Davis, thank you guys for your support. Bo Jackson, Bankroll Spence, JPZ. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Jose, thank you for all that you do for us, all the hard work. Jose, could you please bless our action and lead us into the future?
Yeah, let's get after it, guys. I'm excited to hear these breakdowns. It's going to be a whole lot of fun for football here coming up, and our old voting system is back. So let's go, and let's legend a Los Bookmakers.